It's 6 o'clock. We convened the Board of Trustees meeting. Would you please, Jeff Mills, call for the executive sessions?
Sure.
Would you please roll call?
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Very good. Good afternoon, Board. I recommend that the Board of Trustees make a motion to enter executive session in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1 for the discipline or termination hearing of an employee.
I'll make a motion.
A second. Any discussions?
It says may be public if requested by employee.
It's my understanding that the employee would prefer that it be an executive session.
Okay,
Okay.
fine. So go ahead and call the roll call, please.
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
We'll be convening for the executive sessions. We should be back. Thank you. It's 7 o'clock. The Colerain Township Board of Trustees will convene back from the executive sessions. Would you call for roll call?
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Mills, if you got anything to report from the executive sessions?
There's nothing to report from executive session.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll continue.
For our Pledge of Allegiance this evening, we have two scouts here from Boy Scout Troop 24. If you two would introduce yourselves, please. And the microphone should be on.
I'm Toby Lloyd. I'm from Troop 24, and this is my brother. He's Young's Lloyd, also from Troop 24. He's my brother.
And I'd ask that you would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. We'll have a moment of silent meditation. Please think about our seniors living in this community and also for the bettering our community, Colerain Township. Keeping them in our heart. Let's have a silent meditation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Scouts. Please have a seat and enjoy the meeting.
Thank you for being here.
Next on the agenda is a Fiscal Office approval of minutes from April 9th, 2019.
Yes, I'd like to ask the board's approval of these minutes.
I would motion that we do such a thing.
I second it. Any discussions?
There was one typo that you
I
corrected.
already fixed, yes.
Heather, would you please?
Sure. Mr.
Roll call.
Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Here they are for your signature.
Thank you very much. Next in the agenda is the presentations. Proclamation recognizing Sky Shelby for 30 years of service in the community. Greg, would you like to read?
Yeah, I would love to read this. So, Dr. Sky Shelby, who's here conveniently in the front row, is a chiropractor who's celebrating 30 years of practice in Colerain Township. He opened his practice on April 5th, 1989, before many of you were born. Barbara Bowles is a day one employee. Anybody that's a small business owner or ever been in private or whatever, they know how hard it is to keep a good employee. Good employees are hard to find. A day one employee is unheard of. And not to be outdone, but Pamela, is it Riesenbeck? Oh, wow, that's a day one. Awesome job, Greg. I actually got a pronunciation right. 29 years she's been with them. And Tina, I'm going to butcher this one, Preby? Holy mo! I am so underqualified. Has been an employee for 7 years. So actually, I'm very lucky to know Sky Shelby. 30 years ago, my parents were one of his first clients, and I've had the honor and privilege of being cracked by him a few times. And the sounds my body makes, I hope none of you ever have to hear. It's crazy. But I would like to right now read the proclamation. The proclamation recognizes April 23rd, 2019 as Dr. Sky Shelby Day in Colerain Township, Hamilton County, Ohio. Be it proclaimed by the Township Trustees of Colerain Township that whereas Dr. Sky Shelby and his team at Shelby Chiropractic offer personalized service to all their clients, and whereas Shelby Chiropractic uses the most updated procedures and technology to help their patients achieve fast results in the shortest amount of time, and whereas Dr. Sky Shelby and his team promote regular preventative care so patients can enjoy a lifetime of good health, and whereas Dr. Sky Shelby is celebrating his 30th anniversary providing outstanding chiropractic care in the Northwest Cincinnati area since 1979. Be it proclaimed that the Colerain Township Board of Trustees does hereby recognize April 23rd, 2019 as Dr. Sky Shelby Day in Colerain Township. Thank you for being part of our business, part of our business team. Did we not sign this? Oh, we need to sign it first. Uh-oh. Dun, 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 dun. See, I got all the... All right. Yeah. Let me make sure we all got the same color ink. Is yours blue or black?
Doesn't matter.
Good catch.
Mine is blue.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shelby.
Would you like to say anything?
Come to the mic.
I need to clarify something on Greg Insco. I didn't diagnose him as a pain in the butt.
Thank you, Doctor. Okay, we'll move on to the next on the agenda is a citizen's address.
Oh my gosh.
I have a huge list here. I really want to emphasize, we talked about this several meetings. I like to each citizens at least speak 5 minutes because it's fair. I've been talking to lots of residents outside about the meeting to make a participation. A lot of people, I know it's my fault. Sometimes they speak long, they went out of control. I'm responsible to have this, conduct this the meeting, the Board of Trustees meeting. The citizens' address is very important because we like to hear the concern of the people, the residents of this community. On the other hand, we should have the opportunity to speak, give the chance to other people to come and talk. I don't like one person to dominate and speak for a long time, and it kind of deters other people to not to come to the meeting because it's going crazy. It's my job. You elected me as a trustee to run this township. These two guys elected me as the president of the board to run the meeting. So I really humbly ask you, please stay with the 5 minutes thing because the clock, they can see your clock. I don't want to bang the gavel and say time's up and everything. But when the 5 minutes comes, I'm going to say 5 minutes. I would like to see a minute or so to wrap up your thing. Please, please take this as this opportunity to speak your concern, make this meeting a meaningful meeting, not just like come and talk and scream and anything. We, as a three board of the trustees, you elected us. We want to work with you. The only way we can work together, we have to build a good relationship. You come and talk and yell at each other, nothing's going to happen. Please, come, address, look at the clock. Jeff is running. 5 minutes, I would really, really encourage you. Then again, it's all surprise to you too.
No, I don't do trustee reports on the second. I'm only the first meeting.
No. I'm just, he's a trustee. But
I am?
so please, speak 5 minutes and wrap it up. let's have the opportunity other people to meet. Then we also have the long agenda, so we need to have the business meeting to continue. Okay, I keep this in mind. I picked up the whole list. I don't know who came first. Please, if I picked the sheet that you applied, you wrote it down first. It's not in order. So I'll call the name. Please come out.
Can I piggyback off something you're saying before you
yeah,
call our first person? So real quick, these meetings, typically we're here once a month. Now that we're in the busy season, the nuisance season, we're going to have them twice a month, okay? But you guys can reach out to us literally all day, every day, anytime. I mean, Dan even puts his cell phone on the website. You know, Raj and I don't think we're that brave, but you can reach out to us outside of these trustee meetings. You do not have to come here to speak to us. We will speak to you anytime you want at your convenience. Is that fair?
Yes.
Perfect.
Keep this in mind. Then I'm going to call the first person, Ken
Clems?
Clems?
Beavis
Ken
Lane.
Clems. Did I say your name right, sir?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, really?
This rather than be referring
Thank
to
you.
it, I made it large so you can easily see. I want to address it
Thank you
about
for that.
McDonald's Lakeside Saloon.
Perfect. Is there a place we can see so we know?
Okay, as you said, my name is Ken Clems. I wrote this down so I would be, what's that?
I just wanted people to see what you handed us.
I live at 3622 Beavis Lane across the street from McDonald's Lakeside Saloon, which was formerly the Orchard Lake Tavern. I have lived there since 1987, that's 32 years. I'll be 62 this year, and I have lived within a mile of my address. Okay. McDonald's is a small business in our community, and Mick, as a small business owner, naturally wants to do what he can to improve the establishment and remain competitive. For any small business, it is a dog-eat-dog world. Colerain Township should not only be glad that Mick takes pride in McDonald's and works hard to make it the best that it can be, we should celebrate the fact that it adds to our community. I have lived here long enough to have seen the bar before Mick took over as owner, when it was an eyesore and a troubled bar called Orchard Lake Tavern. Now it is a culturally diverse bar where black and white men and women gather to socialize, and as a community in the township, we should embrace this. 2 weeks ago, a woman spoke at this meeting and said a lot of negative things about McDonald's. So to me, she is trying to deprive one of our local business owners of not only his livelihood, but to send his employees to the unemployment line by trying to close the bar. I think simply put, her father doesn't seem to want to live near a bar. But a newsflash, the bar was there long before he built the house. She made a point of saying that he bought the property in the 70s. The bar was there long before that. So he knew going in, there was a bar there. So I don't think it's up to him to complain now and want to change what the neighborhood is. The second part, the reason I gave you the map, is she claimed that patrons of McDonald's stand outside the bar and yell racial slurs at kids walking to Clifford Park. As you can see on the map, the entrance to the park is over 1,000 feet away. The street in front, Hollis, is over a football field's length away. So any kids walking across that street, a person could not stand outside the bar, yell over 100 yards when there might be a black man or woman sitting inside the bar. So I think she just made that up. I don't know where that came from. There's a large number of bushes at the end of the lake, so you can't really even see Hollis Lane from the bar. Also, from his house, there's no direct view of the bar. It's 320 feet to his driveway, then his house is another 200 feet back. If you look at the picture, there's a large line of trees that are all evergreens. They stay green all year round. And then in the front yard, that picture was obviously taken in the spring or fall. There's 2 large trees in my neighbor's yard that he has no direct view of the bar. So how can they say that they see people yelling at kids when he can't even see the bar from his house and you can't see his house from the bar? Sorry, I have a couple other pictures.
Thank you, sir.
What I did is I took the picture,
Upside down.
Then I've walked up the street and took other pictures from the street towards his house, and you cannot see his house.
Thank you.
Okay. And lastly, she made personal attacks on Mick, saying he was a criminal, felon, has a record as long as her arm. I don't know, to me that's disturbing that she can come here and make these allegations. I don't know, there's no proof that she'd offered. So to me, that's stooping pretty low to allow that this type of character assassination, and I don't believe in it, and I think that we're better than that. So I support that Mix would be open for business and that he would continue to operate.
Sir, you live the same lane of where the McDuck.
I live directly across the street. When I walk down my driveway, I can literally walk across the street and into his front door.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Next, I got on the list, Joanne Cole.
That's my husband. I'm going to lower this so you
Thank
can
you.
hear. Okay, I'm going to read this too because I get nervous in front of
That's okay.
people.
You're fine.
So, hello, my name is Joan Cool. In 1985, 34 years ago, I bought the house directly across the street from McDogg's Lakeside Saloon. At that time, it was known as Orchard Lake Tavern. I still live there today. I have been a resident of Colerain Township for 67 years, and I really care about this community. There has been some talk about Greg Teeters, who everyone knows as Mick. Before Mick bought the bar in 2001, I have to say I was a little uncomfortable at times. The patrons were unruly a little too often, and there was open drug use. Since Mick has owned McDogg's, that has all changed. I have felt completely safe. I know if at any time I have a problem, Mick or Tom, who works there, would be there for me. I also want to mention that even when Mick has had a very large benefit with hundreds of people there, there is never any trash left in the street or on my property. Everything is cleaned up that day. I like to work in my yard a lot, and I have never had a problem with the patrons that go to McDogg's. They have always been friendly and respectful to me. There was something said about McDogg's being a danger to small children and the elderly. Ta-da! I had to put that in there. I'm 75 years old.
I thought you were a small child. Thank you for clarifying.
Because I need to mention that. And I have never had a problem bringing my mother and my grandchildren to my house. I'm going to be submitting some photos and let you see how close we are to this bar. The last time my mother was able to spend any real time at my place, she was 95 years old. She and my granddaughter, who was about 10 at the time, came over specifically to watch all the people, motorcycles, and listen to the music. This benefit was to raise money for breast cancer. Though being a woman who came from Germany, coming to this country from Germany, it probably wasn't exactly her kind of music, but I do know she and my granddaughter had a great time sitting in my front yard, up close and personal. I am definitely the closest neighbor to McDogg's. In my mind, the worst thing that could happen is for Mick not to be the owner. You have no idea how important it is to me to know that he is there, because I feel safe. That's ad-libbed. I want to submit the 3 photos to show how close my property is to McDogg's. They also show how I can work right on the street and still know that I'm safe. The photo with the pink bench shows the garden area that Mick and his patrons created to honor the victims of breast cancer.
Thank you, ma'am.
Is it Joan or Joanne? I didn't catch it. Joan, okay.
That's out my front window.
Oh, wow.
It's very pretty.
Okay. This is by the street. Just on the other street of that bar.
It's beautiful.
It could not be
Any
a
closer?
problem or any closer.
Yeah,
And this is the garden area he's made for.
it's pretty.
Yeah, beautiful landscape,
Thank you.
beautiful landscape.
Thank you. And I sit right on the street.
Well, don't sit in the middle of the street. That's dangerous.
No, I sit on the edge.
Okay, the edge is probably dangerous too.
No,
Thank you. Would you like to have a picture, or can I ask
you
you?
can keep those.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm finished.
No, thank you.
Thank you for
I accidentally discovered the McDuck's place. Me and my wife were driving by, and we want to stop this place.
But you can wave to me, then
I saw a
guard.
lot of motorcycles parked.
Yes, we love
Boys,
it.
I want to go, and I said, "Don't go in there."
We invite the motorcycle people
Yeah,
to park
kinda,
in our
yeah,
yard
yeah.
and in our drive.
When I went there, I was so surprised. There's lots of people. They had a chili contest raising money for the opiate heroin addict homes.
Yes.
I was thrilled because I developed the program for the Justice Center, opiate program. I was amazed how these people are there and raising money for that opiate thing. I admire them.
I do too.
Thank
Yes,
you.
and they've been doing this for so long. He is such a blessing to our street.
It is.
Really and truly. Love those people. Thank you for saying that too.
Thank you, ma'am. The next on the list is Gerald Fales.
How you doing?
My name's Gerald Fales. I've lived in this township 61 years. My parents owned McDuck's when it was Orchard Lake. They bought it in 1962, and they sold it in 1978. I can tell you a lot of history about the place. The Colerain Historical Society called me. They wanted to do an article. And they came down and they took pictures of the place. It's in one of their books. And the Secretary of State of Ohio sent Mick a plaque that's the oldest building in the township. And that was built back in 1870. That was that fishing lake right there. Used to be a watering spot where they would run the cattle from Brookville, Indiana, down to Cincinnati, and they'd stop there to water their cattle and their horses back in the 1800s. A lot of good people come through that bar before. 1972, John Cougar Mellencamp, when he was a teenager, came down here. He would visit his relatives in Northbrook when he lived in Indiana. And he came down there and brought his guitar and sit out there and play. And told my dad that he was going to do something. My dad said, well, if you keep up doing what you're going to do, you'll make it. Another great person that came in that bar was Goldie Coleman. He was a Cincinnati Red back in the 60s. He would bring his son there to fish while he would be inside, talking to the other patrons. In I think it was 71 or 72, 275 was coming through. And there was a lot of heat. The road going up to Colerain Avenue, Beavis Lane, was going to be shut off. Well, it shut 50% of the business traffic come in because they moved an access road. And the citizens was up in complaints about that. And the state said there's nothing you can do about it because if you don't sell your property, eminent domain will take it over. So my dad couldn't even do anything about it. So the traffic coming through off of Redskin down to Hollis Drive, that's the only way to get back there. Blame that on the state for that. Nobody else's fault. And I believe that when you got a business like that, this township's wanting business to come in. Why would you want to shut them out? Especially a historical place, over 100 years old. The oldest business in this township. You should recognize that. Take it to heart. Stop down there sometime and go in and have a drink. If it's a Coke, glass of water, whatever. You'll see what type of a bar that is. And Mick's a good man. He's got good customers down there. And they do a lot for this township. He pays for taxes on two streets. He pays probably more taxes than one resident does, plus the tax for sales tax that comes into this township. So think about that. And that's all I got.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Chris is a historical person. You love the historical.
Before my time.
No, you're the head of the Historical
Fairly, right?
Society. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now is Scott Wilson, please. Scott Wilson.
How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Excellent.
I'm standing here before you tonight. I'm 54 years old. I've lived in Colerain Township most of my life. There was some brief time I've moved away. I will tell you that the Colerain Township I live in today is much different than the one that I grew up in. And I wouldn't even be here tonight if it wasn't for the problem of trying to get something corrected in my neighborhood. I don't stand here by myself. I stand here with probably about 7 to 8 of my neighbors who are elderly, and they said if they needed to be here to take care of this problem, they would be here in a heartbeat with me. So I've got a guy on our street that, you always have a guy on your street. It's one of those families, that just, every time you seen a cop car, you knew what house it was at. One of those type of families.
One bad apple. Yeah.
He ended up moving back into the neighborhood. I actually moved back into the neighborhood also. My parents still live in the cul-de-sac where I grew up at. I live 5 houses down from them on Rutherford Court. We have a gentleman, the gentleman that I'm speaking of, he likes to buy cars at auctions, and he likes to bring them to his house, and he likes to park them in his driveway, and then they stay there for a long, long time, and then because he's got stuff in his driveway, he's parking across the sidewalk at night. There's at least 2 vehicles that park across the sidewalk. Then we've got cars on the street. Now, he was smart enough to figure out that if he wanted to park his car on the street, he had to tag them so that he wouldn't get ticketed for these things. The problem is when our neighbors and us have people over to our house, we are limited in parking because of this gentleman running this little, whatever you want to call it, out of his house, fixing these cars up. Now he's got a guy that has moved up here from Kentucky living with him. Now we have extra vehicles now from this gentleman moving in. They stay on the street and they do not get moved. The gentleman, I finally called because he has a trailer that he hauls these cars on from the auction. The trailer has no tags on it. In Kentucky, I've been told that you don't have to have tags on a trailer. I'm not sure how true that is or what the stipulations are. But I called Colerain Township police officers, had them respond. I went and talked to the officer, and I told him, I said, this car over here, that one hasn't been moved. That car there, that hasn't been moved. And we're talking, some of the cars, they've been there for quite some period of time. Matter of fact, in the pictures I'll present to you, you'll see snow around a red Mustang that's been there for 2 years. Nobody's done anything about it. My neighbors are getting frustrated and they don't know how to go about trying to get something done. So when I talked to the officer and tried to explain these things to him, and I apologize, I did not get his name or his badge number because I think it would have been important for you guys to know. But when I tried to explain it to the officer, he looked at me and said, "Sir, you don't own the street." And I was like, "Oh, well, yeah, I know that. That's why I called you, because we're going to do it the legal way. We're going to have these cars ticketed for not being moved." Well, I guess he must have, the gentleman that owns the trucks and the trailer and everything came home, so he went over and talked to him for a few minutes. Next thing I know, he's speeding off the street, must have got another call, which is understandable. But again, we have cars parked on our streets that aren't being moved. That's one of the trucks that he has there. As you can see, there's snow around it. Here's 3 cars parked in his driveway. Here's the red Mustang I was telling you about that has been there for at least 2 years. And the guy is smart enough that if the cops come and mark the tires, I watched him go out and go, and rub them off. So again, here's pictures I took today of the red Mustang still in the same place. The 3 newer cars here in the driveway. Here's a trailer with no tags on it sitting on a Colerain Township street with no tags on it, hooked to a vehicle that has Ohio tags on it. So in my opinion, that's parked illegally. And there's some of the cars, which of that one has been on jack stands for now over 2 weeks in the driveway. So again, we've got an influx of cars, limited parking, and neighbors who are frustrated and have no idea what to do.
I'll give to the police chief.
I do want you to know that I did talk to Chris
Cavallero.
Code enforcement.
Yeah, code enforcement. He did say he would mention something to our police department, but as of yet, nothing has happened. And so
When did
I'm
you speak to
waiting.
him? When did you speak to him?
I came in last week and spoke to him.
You spoke to him last week, okay.
Yeah, and I mean, this house is in utter disarray. He has a pool in the back that has a leak in it. He has been pumping the water when it fills up because it leaks. He'll be pumping the water out on the street, which I'm about ready to take samples of the water to see if we can do something about him having illicit discharge going into our sewer systems.
Sir, do you know the house number of that?
6820, I believe. I might have to zoom in on a picture to get you the exact address.
6820?
6820.
Sure, Chris can.
Okay, we'll find out.
Now, I do know code enforcement has been out to our street. They showed me, I caught 2 of them in a truck. They've got a file about that thick on this guy. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know if he owns the house or if his mother in Florida owns the house.
Okay.
So I'm not sure. But I do know that they've had to, Hamilton County has had to come and do chemical dumps in the pool to keep up for mosquitoes in the summertime when it gets bad. So again, we're frustrated. We don't know what to do. We call the police, and then that's the kind of attitude we get from them. And so again, that's why I made the statement, the Colerain Township that I grew up in is nothing like the one that I'm living in today, because we're frustrated and we don't feel like we have any area or avenue to take these problems to. So I appreciate your time.
Hey,
Thank
Scott,
you.
have you contacted the Hamilton County Board of Health about the pool?
Oh, yes, I have, because
Okay.
I'm an actual Hamilton County employee. And so we have meetings on this all the time about illicit discharge, and the health department comes in and teaches us and trains us all about this kind of stuff, because I have to work with water. I'm the guy who you'll see around your township in an orange truck fixing your fire hydrants every day. So that's what I do for the
Thank
county.
you.
That's fine. So yeah, as far as the pool issue and that, and mosquitoes.
I have contacted them, and I'm probably going to be contacting them once it starts getting warmer and the mosquito problem arises once again. I'll be contacting them about it again,
Okay.
once again.
And if you could, if you would give me your phone number, I'd like to follow up with you if you could come here
Sure.
for a moment.
I can do that. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sir, last week, I'm glad that you came and addressed this issue. Last week, me and the zoning administrator, Jenna, we got a long meeting with the Judge Bouchard, with the housing judge, and these are the issues. We're gonna really aggressively work on this. The cars parked, this is a numerous complaining we're getting, and people are frustrated. The cars parked in the driveway and the parking, this thing, and the judge will do a very aggressive effort to work with the Colerain Township.
Well, I know my elderly neighbors will greatly appreciate anything that you do. They're waiting on me to come back and talk to them and tell me what happened tonight at this meeting.
Please tell. And we'll work with the police chief on zoning. Chief, you want to say something, Chief? Yes, sir.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks. Take my pen. Yes.
The next person will be Charlie Hobbs, please.
How you guys doing? Thanks for hearing us out here tonight for Mick Dog's. Mick Dog's a good friend of mine. I met him about 16 years ago, and since the time that I've known him, I've known him to secretly, and he's going to get mad if I say this, but secretly pay for things for people who he has no idea what he's doing. Headstones, funeral costs, blindly donating to several causes. 4 years ago, Harley Against Heroin was, we had a slow roll. It was born at McDog's. The people from McDog's put this on. We raised $37,000 and gave it away to various entities that use money for heroin addiction. And it was solely to people at McDog's. We sold T-shirts. You probably see our T-shirts around town sometimes. It says Harley's Against Heroin. It's got a Harley on with a red ribbon on it. That was us. Other benefits that we've done there, $6,000 at a time, $5,000 at a time, $2,000 at a time, all because this man lets us have it and supports us in doing it. McDog's Lakeside Saloon, the people who go there, by and large, are citizens of Colerain Township, and we're forced to be recognized with the money we raise, the nonprofit organizations that we help and what we do. And the support we get, the people who from McDog's who do it, and the support from the people who go to McDog's who give us money. And a lot of money has been raised. You guys have received letters from the Breast Fest of Cincinnati, Kathy and Daniel McCarthy. They've raised over $400,000. $400,000 at McDog's Lakeside Saloon, but the majority of it's happened at. It's a lot of money, and we give it away. We give the money away, and we turn our backs, we walk away. We don't expect nothing out of anybody. And we give, the first benefit I threw was for a buddy of mine's mom and dad's trailer burnt down. They're poor. They were poor. I asked McDog if I could throw a benefit. Nobody, not one person in that bar knew them but me. We raised $4,500, and nobody knew who they were. That's pretty impressive, I think. And that's all I got to say. I'm here to support McDog and the people who go to McDog's. All right?
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. I really admire that. Come and talk to us. For sure. Thank you. The next person on the list, Rhonda Walters, please.
How you doing, Rhonda?
Hello. I'm good. How are you?
Excellent.
A little nervous.
Don't be. I promise. We don't bite.
You've got the aerial view of the street, and I live on Beavis Lane. I have two pieces of property. One piece is our side yards. The man that complains all the time in the funeral home house, I don't even know his name. He lives right next door, and he is caught. There will be retribution. First, I want to say there will be retribution to me from him and his daughter because I'm here tonight. Because he has done things and called the township on everybody in the neighborhood if he doesn't like something, and it's just constant. I've lived there since 1963. I'm 62 years old. I was there when it was Orchard Lake Tavern, and I plan on still being there for another 20 years or so. But his daughter cited some things that I felt had to be clarified, and one of them was the accidents. She made reference to 3 accidents that had happened because of McDog's Lakeside Saloon. Well, I lived there, and it had nothing to do. She picked through things. Yes, there were accidents. A kid that has some mental imbalance was in a car and went down the street, came back up and just gassed it and hit a telephone pole. He had not been in the bar. He was just a kid in the neighborhood, just a kid there. The other thing that she made a mention of was the fence. That girl, I think she had been in the bar, but she had some medical issues, mental health issues, and that was the reason that that incident happened. Then there was a motorcycle wreck. I was sitting in my driveway the night that happened. They hadn't been to McDog's. They hadn't even been close. But the light at the corner was out, and it was very dark. We had no moon, and a car and a motorcycle hit a collision. But she turned it all around to make it sound like drunks are pulling out of there and having accidents, and this is not true. It is not true at all. It's unfortunate that she feels the need to make things up and to distort truths in order to shut McDog's down because of her father. Let me see. I have to say, our dad calls the police. Every time there's an event, the police come. It's either Colerain Township or Hamilton County. Usually he uses, when there's an event, he uses Hamilton County, and then Colerain Township is a smaller police department, so they're freed up for the community, which is a smart move, in my opinion, so you're out there. But he has to call the police. Well, the last time we had an event there was about 3 weeks ago. 3 cruisers went to his house. 3 cruisers. It was pouring down rain. Buckets and buckets. I think you guys might remember that about 3 weeks ago. It was terrible. And he's calling the police because he doesn't like where people were parking because the parking lot was mud and the backfield where people park was all mud. So they do park up and down Hollis and Beavis. Nobody complains. Only him. If you look at your records, you don't have anybody else complaining about McDogs or really anything else that goes on Beavis Lane or in that part of the neighborhood, except for this gentleman. And truthfully, I think something should be done about him pulling the police department from jobs they should be doing. There could be kids with accidents, old people having heart attacks. God knows what goes on in this community. We know. And then what did he say that day that made 3 cruisers pull in his driveway when the rain was just buckets? It just amazes me that they have the nerve to do it. I also want to say that he is not without fault, this man, or his son. The house that's next to his, last year, about this time last year, I came out and he had taken all the trimmings from his bushes and thrown in my yard. On the edge of both of them, but really it was in my yard. Why would he do such a thing? He doesn't want a little grass. So I tried cutting so the grass doesn't go to him, and he still does this kind of stuff. One year he was shooting a .22 toward my house at deer in the middle of summer when a .22. It could have went through my house and killed myself or one of my nieces, nephews, my dog, my husband. He gets by with this stuff. How is he getting by with this kind of behavior? The police show up and they make an excuse for him just to shut him up, just like he's doing here, starting stuff to make trouble for other people. But he's doing all kind of things. I'm just at loss how this gets by. This was 2011. Well, actually, 2010, my husband died in May. In February, I came home from work, and my basement had collapsed. When the township came to look at everything, which I paid for, he had poured concrete. He had built this concrete posters, pillars in his yard, and poured concrete into the runoff for all the storm sewers, filled them with concrete. So the township had to go in there, and there's a record of it, and cut all that stuff out of there. And I had to pay $7,000 to fix my property where he got nothing. When they said, "Did you do this, sir?" And he says, "No," but you could see where he had built stuff and just poured the additional concrete into the sewer. How is he getting by with this stuff? Mr. Teeters is a nice man. I've known him since I was a kid. He does great things for the community. And just like Charlie said, he does things you don't even know about. The guy up the street had a heart attack last year. He cut his yard all summer for recoup. Another man up the street had a heart attack. He's cutting his yard all summer. He comes in and cuts down trees for people if they're hanging there. He does nice things for people. This guy, does he come out and try to help anybody? No.
Would you please wrap it up?
Yes.
Because your time's up.
So what I say is that something should be done about him. He is taking the time of the police department and of all you nice people. Yeah, it's job security, but what about when the kid gets hit on the bike and they're sitting down there trying to see if things are loud at McDogs? It's ridiculous. I thank you for hearing all of us, and I really hope that you find a way to solve this horrible dilemma.
Well, thank you, and I agree we're nice people,
you.
so thank you for that as well.
Thank you very much, ma'am. The next one is Mary Heiss.
It does say Mary on there.
Mary on Hollis Drive? Presumably, okay.
Mary Heiss.
She's coming.
Yeah, it says Mary. Hello, Mary.
All these new faces. Thanks for being here, Mary.
I just want to say, Mick Dog is the most generous person out there. He would do anything in the world for you. My house is just right around the corner from the bar. Actually, it butts into property that he bought on Hollis Drive next to me. My husband is 82 years old, and he's really not able to get out and cut. I have over an acre of grass to cut. For the last 2 or 3 years, Mick cuts my grass all summer long, won't let me give him a dime. I mean, I don't know too many people nowadays that does stuff out of the kindness of their hearts. I mean, most people want $100 to cut my yard. You know, it's ridiculous. But he is the kindest person I have ever met. I mean, for years, you know, my husband always went down there. For years, I really never, I'd go down periodically with him. But now, I go down just by myself, just to sit and talk with the people down there. Most of these people have lived back there all their lives. He has a benefit called Brook Bash. That's all the people that basically it was called Northbrook. I mean, he has a Brook Bash. I mean, people come out of the woodworks that used to live there 25, 30 years ago. They heard about the Brook Bash. They had to come back to see, you know, to be with all their former neighbors and that. It's wonderful. He is, like I said before, he is the kindest person to anything in the world for you. Come holiday time, you know, we get together, bunch of us we put Thanksgiving dinner on. Because a lot of people don't have any place to go. So we do Thanksgiving dinner, we do Christmas dinner, we cook for different things periodically throughout the year. You know, I really, like Rhonda said, I really and truly think that something needs to be done to this family just because of them, you know, they're taking the township away from their job to come back there for what? To be told that he's not doing anything illegal. But yet they have to come down, at least let him know that they got a phone call. I mean, it's ridiculous. The last benefit they had for one of our cancer victims, you know, like I said, it poured down rain in buckets. And I sat there and watched those 3 cruisers pull in his driveway. And I walked inside, I said, well, he's at it again. He'll be down here in a minute. It's ridiculous. I mean, I feel that Vic should be able to file harassment charges against them. You know, something needs to be done. He's not doing anything illegal. He, like I said, he is the kindest person anyone would want to meet. He'll do anything in the world for you. I thank you for your time, and I really and truly hope something gets done.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Next person, Christina Francisco.
How you doing?
Good, how are you guys?
Good, thanks for being here.
Good, thank you. Like you said, my name is Christina Francisco. I've known Mickey my whole life. I grew up knowing Mickey. My parents know Mickey. He's always been a father figure to me. Not only does he do the benefits that everyone's speaking about, but he also does kids' benefits. He does kids' things outside. He does kids' Halloween's trick-or-treats. Christmas is with Santa. We actually have a Santa that dresses up for the children. Easter egg hunts. I remember as a kid, growing up, I would learn how to fish there with my father. And not only that, a big part of it was my dad passed away from leukemia in 2013.
Sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And Mickey held a benefit for my father. It was amazing. Everyone was there to help. Everyone was there to help out. He supported my family through very rough times. And Mickey's an awesome and amazing man. And I will always look up to him. and I will always love him like a father. And that's all I got.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Christina. Appreciate it. Next one's Lisa Mansour.
Thank you.
How you doing, Lisa?
I'm one of those former Colerain Township residents, one of those people that come back for the Brook Bash about 6 years ago. And I kept coming back ever since then. And it's because of the people that I've met and reconnected with there. And most of all, because of all of the work that we do there, the fundraisers. And they've roped me into lots of things and raising money and for Dragonfly Foundation, which does stuff for sick children, and the Breast Fest. We've done countless cancer benefits for people that have died or people that were dying of cancer. Children's Hospital, Gateway House, which is a rehab, and Harley's for Heroin, just so many community benefits, spaghetti dinners, family things. They had a yard sale for the community. And that's the reason why I come back. I don't even live in Colerain Township anymore.
Well, you're missing out.
I know. Actually, I'm looking at a house over here.
There's not many left. Get it while you can.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I've looked at a house on Beavis Lane, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So
I hear it's a nice area.
I mean, I want to come back, and it's partly because, you know, of the reconnections that I have made. And if it wasn't for McDogs and not being involved and reconnecting with people and doing these things, I probably wouldn't have. I've been on the west side for 20 years, 10 years. So Mickey has become a good friend of mine in these years, and the things that I've seen him done and his generosity and everything that everyone has said is absolutely true. I mean, he's a great guy. And this place is, you know, I walk in there by myself many times. I've never felt unsafe. I've never had any reservations about being there, and never met anybody there that I felt uncomfortable with. And these people have become family, a lot of them have. So I don't know what all this stuff is about really necessarily. I guess some zoning things, or people are unhappy, or it seems like a certain family is unhappy. I know several people that live up and down Beavis Lane, and I've met more tonight, and I just don't really see a lot of that as a trend or something, you know, that's prevalent in the neighborhood. I've heard more good things and more positive things, and that's what I'm here to support, is Mickey and McDogs in this business, and the importance of it being there and things to continue, because we have done a lot, and we've brought a lot of people in from everywhere to keep it going. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next is Greg Teeters.
I don't know if this room's big enough for two Gregs, so you better.
How you doing? I'm Greg Teeters. I am McDog. You know, and I've my customers speak for myself. I've tried everything I can to try to resolve any issues that the man across the street from the bar has had with me. To no avail. I mean, I've been there 18 years now. I've never had any violations against me. I've had the health department's comment at me on this year's annual inspection, told me how clean my establishment was. You know, I haven't done anything to upset this man in any way that I know of, and if there was, I would love to be able to resolve that. I've talked to Chief Denny about it, and you know, there was just a conflict of interest for some reason. And you know, I want to apologize to Chief Denny and his troopers over there. You know, they've come down there, and I've had some issues that I was being negative about it, because you know, I've been down there trying to better our community, and this man for some reason just every time I do something, he's calling the township down there, and more times than not, the township's nothing's wrong. You know, they're complaining about the music. I play music during the summer from Memorial Day to Labor Day. It's a little acoustic thing outside. I play it there from 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the evening. And, you know, I think that was because of my neighbors. You know, I don't want to disrupt them. You know, I mean, I've done everything I can. I clean their yards for them. I drive, you know, pick up all the trash around there. And, you know, I'm a one-man gang down there, you know what? And I've got the support of these people to see that I've done this, you know. And Chief Denny can vouch for my record. You know, I was accused of being something that I wasn't. And, you know, now these people have resorted into lies, coming to the township and telling lies on me to try to shut me down. My record speaks for itself, guys. You know, I mean, I'm not the convicted felon that I was accused of being. You know, if I was, I wouldn't have a liquor license in my name. I wouldn't have been down there. You know, the kids, they come down there. You know, we had 65 kids down there for Halloween to paint pumpkins. You know, I respect the parents. They come down here. We let them come in, and we never have an issue. You know, and I don't know what I got to do to try to resolve this with this man. But you know what? Something needs to be done, because now I feel like he's harassing me, and he's using the township and the township police department to do the harassment. You know, as they come down here, it's like, you know, once they come into McDogg's, half the people leave because they know they're going to be back, and you know what? We don't need that issue. You know, I don't know what else to do. I've tried everything. You know, I've reached out to his son, and, you know, he didn't have a problem with me when he was doing his driveway. You know, that's when I relined the lake. He come over there and dumped the concrete in my lake. He didn't have a problem with me then. And now all of a sudden he's got these issues with me. And if you look at the police reports, every time somebody's been called down there, 9 out of 10 times it was him. And I don't know what I've got to do to stop the harassment. I'm asking you guys for the help.
Craig, can I ask you a question? You mentioned you have a time you cut off music at night.
Yes, sir.
What time is that?
It's 7 o'clock in the evening.
Okay.
Even the big party that I have, the Breast Fest, this is be my 15th year of hosting this benefit. I don't do the benefits, I just host them. You know, my people don't touch the money as far as how much money they're raising.
Fine, I was just
That's
asking
it.
because I wanted to compare that to what we were told
Right.
recently. So you say you're done at 7 with loud music and that?
Yes, sir.
I was not aware of any of this until our meeting 2 weeks ago, and I did drive down there, not Saturday night before Easter, but the week before that. I was down there at maybe 9:55 on Saturday night, and it was very quiet. There was 5 or 6 cars down by your building, and it was just really quiet back there. I drove into the cul-de-sac by the northbound ramp to get on 275. I saw nothing going on back there, and I drove up to Clifford Park. It was just very quiet, and it was the only time I went back there at night, but yeah, so what you're saying, I did take the time to look at it, and I didn't see anything.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for my neighbors, because you know what, they do have to tolerate some of the issues that the bar draws. You know what, I'm not innocent as far as, you know, there's never any trouble down there.
I didn't see anything when I went there.
We police ourselves down there, and you know, before anything even starts down there, the customers will stick up for me and tell them, say, look, we don't do that here. You know, we don't use racial slurs like I've been accused of doing. You know what? If you say that in my establishment, you get a warning. The next time you get to go home, and we don't want you back there. You know, I've tried everything in the world to make a better community for us. You know, we've donated money with the Harleys of Heroin. That some of that money came to Colerain Township because of an excellent job that they're doing trying to get these kids off this drug. You know, and we support them wholeheartedly. You know, I support everything that the township's doing. I'm supporting the Chris Green with his
Veterans Memorial.
Memorial. You know what? That truck, I drive that truck that makes that bill. You know, so I'm going to volunteer my time to come up here and do that because that's what I want to do for our community, not be a problem.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Guys, and I hope you guys can help me out with this issue. I will really appreciate it. Rob,
Thank you, sir.
sir, you've been here. You know what it's like down there. You know what? We don't disrespect people with it.
I know that. I've seen it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Sharon Slager, please.
How you doing, Sharon?
Hello, Greg. How
How's
come
your
you
road
haven't
doing? That's what I want to know. How's your road?
How come you haven't responded to me? I've been messaging you and
Sure.
Raj.
Hold on, time out. Where did you message me?
On Messenger.
Do
Hey,
not send me
Raj.
a private message because Facebook changed their algorithm. Email. Send me an email. I always get my emails. I don't always get my Facebook messages.
And you. Neither one of you
I,
responded.
I read that email. I was talking to them.
Okay, you didn't respond. Our road is doing fantastic. I know Kevin's not here. I didn't see him, but thank you. We no longer have the people we had last year that are in the middle of the street fighting with each other and arguing instead of working. These guys get along great. The Crystal is fantastic with them all. She's fantastic with all of us. We just had ours scraped up and dug up and redone the gravel stuff today, and I just so appreciate it. Thanks so much for switching crews. So at least we ain't sitting in the streets watching a big old fight between the workers. Anyway, I wasn't really here for McDogs. Yeah, I wasn't really here for McDogs until I seen Rhonda, who I took care of her dad and her uncle, who at that time lived next door to this gentleman that she's talking about. And I still can't believe that they have not put this dude in a loony bin, because this guy is completely loony. I mean, my toe like touched his grass and he almost shot me for it. That's how loony this guy really is. He's mental. He's got things in his mind that just don't exist. He comes up with it, I think. Okay, my next thing is Memorial Day is coming up in May. Why are we not hanging flags off of our telephone poles?
Telephone poles we can't.
Why not? Everybody else does.
Well, not everybody else does, but
Cheviot does. North College Hill does. Mount Healthy does.
Refresh me, Jeff. That's a Duke thing.
I'm not sure. You just mentioned 3 different cities, and sometimes cities own their own polls. I don't know the situations in those 3 cities, but it could be an issue of the cities actually owning the polls.
I reached out once before and we weren't allowed, and I don't recall the exact answer I was given, but we don't own them.
Well, why don't we look into that and see why?
I'll try to
How
find
about
that
a
email
light
actually.
pole? I know we don't own them.
Well, we need a lighting district for a light pole, and if you saw our friends in Northbrook, who are arriving just on time for me to say this, they just got 51% of the signatures so they can put a lighting district to connect Niagara from Colerain to Marina? Laura Linda. Springdale. Yeah, sorry, I said Colerain. So yeah, thank you for that.
Go ahead, ma'am.
But we're supposed to be supporting our veterans and stuff, and I see very, very little that Colerain Township actually does for our veterans. Amen. So I would like to see more of you guys getting into helping with the Veterans Administration and stuff.
That's something that we are working.
We had
pretty much working with
pretty
the
nice memorial
Chris
at the
Green.
corner of Colerain and Springdale, and we have had a Memorial Day event there every year.
Yeah, I've seen it.
We've had some residents step up for Veterans Day affairs. We've had some residents step up. Jim, if I can thank you, Jim's done a great job of keeping that area clean, and he helped out with the Veterans Day event last few years, if I'm not mistaken.
How much was that, Jeff? That memorial at Colerain and Springdale?
Multiple millions.
Yeah, it was expensive.
I mean, we've got quite an investment in a nice memorial in a very high traffic intersection. So to say that any of these trustees or myself don't support veterans or have a part for Memorial Day, I would disagree, but go on.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to see you guys, because like I said, I don't see you guys doing anything.
I'm very passionate about it.
Maybe once, huh?
I said I'm very passionate about veterans and people who have served our country, so I would disagree with your statement, but please carry on.
Okay, I want to see more so we can hang flags for Memorial Day and Labor Day, and you guys
I would love that.
helping out more. Thanks.
Thank you, Sharon. Appreciate it very much. Next one is Frank Walters.
4.2.
Hope this is the last time I have to come up here.
The microphone up.
You don't have to bend over for us.
Yeah, that would be quite painful.
Thank you.
So it was about March 22nd, I sent an email to the trustees, and it was regarding Rumpke. So I've been to quite a few of these meetings for the last couple of years, and I don't get too bent out of shape, but when I heard many residents say over and over, the trustees have yet to answer their question about Rumpke, I got really irritated. So I replayed all the videos from Waycross, and I wrote down every question that the residents had about Rumpke. And I sent all those questions to the trustees. And I haven't gotten a real answer to any of those 15 questions. And it would be nice to know if you're allowed to answer those questions. So the question today is, are you allowed to answer any of those 15 questions I posed to you?
Can you give me your email address so I can search for your email?
I saw your email. I would have to throw that to Larry because we're at a, what are we allowed to discuss about Rumpke while they're in pursuit of their EPA permit?
Well, I don't know what the questions are. I mean, I haven't seen the email, but we have a settlement with Rumpke, as a result of a lawsuit. And then there's a separate EPA hearing going on, and that we're not really involved in that. We settled our part of that as part of the consent decree, that we settled the case. So, I mean, there are some things we can talk about. There are some things we probably can't, but I'm not sure what your questions are.
That's what I'm looking for. So I'm a patient guy, right? But it's April 22nd, and these aren't really my questions. They're questions that the residents have asked for many, many months. And all I'm looking for an answer is question 1, can't answer it. Question 2, we have to take the Fifth Amendment, we can't answer it. Let us know what you're going to answer, because right now you've answered 0 of the 15 questions, which to me is unacceptable. Give us an answer. Are you going to answer it, yes or no? Not today, but I'm just saying.
I think we've given a number of answers. I don't think you're right to say that none of the questions have been answered, and we're certainly not going to take the Fifth Amendment. But when we can answer the questions, there have been answers that have been given. Some of them are given in writing rather than in the meetings, because a lot of times people will send an email like you did, and then we'll respond in writing via an email and answer the questions to the extent we can, or else give them a copy of the consent decree or whatever needs to be done.
Okay, that's fair. So
Frank, let me.
Okay.
I don't know. When I spoke on the EPA hearing, I think you were not there.
Yeah, we were at the Greater
at
Northbrook
the EPA
meeting.
hearing, I spoke up against the Rumpke keeping up to 1,200 feet.
Okay.
I showed them on the EPA hearing people the consent decree of 2000 and 2015. The 2015 is silent about, which is 2000 is stating about 1,074. I also addressed the concern of the whole room packed with this, all concern of the odor.
Mm-hmm.
I also talked about what we're giving for our future generation, our children, or the family.
Right.
And these are the issues I raised at the meeting. I also submitted my comments to the things. But I also met with some officials privately, Rumpke, just unofficial things. I told them about the concerns of the people. Something that it's not official meeting, but it's unofficial, so at least as a trustee, I have the voice to represent the people. I'm for the people. I continue to do so. And something like Larry says, this agreement is already made in 2015, consent decree. There's something that we're 2 trustees, we need to sit down the executive meeting, what process we can do, and with the presence of the Larry.
I have a follow-up point to that. So I appreciate that you did say that. Unfortunately, I wasn't there because I was running another meeting or at another meeting. So 2 points, and I'm going to try and stick to 5 minutes. So it would be nice to know if you don't agree with the consent decree that if you feel like your hands are tied and you can't do what's the best for residents, go to Rumpke and sign a new consent decree. Create a 2019 consent decree that is best for the residents, not best for Rumpke. That's point 1. Point 2 is when we list questions here on the microphone, and Heather takes great notes, the problem is I can't go back and find answers to questions, right? So we need a process that says, here's the running list of questions, and I want to see the running list of answers to those questions. And you can keep a running list. Here's the number of questions that is still yet to be answered. And you can put that in your meeting notes or put that somewhere online. Because right now, they get stuck in the meeting notes, and you never even know if it's ever been answered, which is a flawed process. That's poor communication back to the residents. So I'm asking for a better process on how you document questions and how the actual answer gets applied to each question. That's it. So
Thank you very much, Frank. I appreciate it. Next one is Kimberly Turner, please.
I did not write a speech, so I'm going to speak from the heart.
Perfect.
My father passed away about 11 years ago. McDog had a benefit for my family to raise money for our expenses, and he bought the headstone for my father's grave. Several years before that, my father's cousin passed away. He bought his headstone for his grave, too. He is a pillar of this community.
It's very noble of him.
And he should not be slandered. And I feel like this man should have repercussions for what he's done and what he's accused him of and the lies he's spread about him, because it's unjust and it needs to be fixed. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And just for a little, for a little bit of clarity for those who weren't here at the last meeting, there was somebody who spoke about McDogs at our last meeting, and I judge all these responses to be responding to that person who spoke last week. I mean, the trustees haven't taken a position on this.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Raj.
We'd like to hear this. Any concerns are coming up. Mr. Jim Acton? You want to speak later? Yes, sir. Keith Miller, please. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Keith.
Kathy Moore, please.
How you doing, Kathy? Good evening.
Just a couple of things. I have a suggestion or a request, basically. When you put your consent items in the minutes, I know you approve them, if you could just put the amount of the of the contracts that you approved at the meeting. Several months ago, I brought up the studies that we've had done. I brought it up at a meeting. I requested the information from Heather, and 4 months later, I still don't have anything. I asked the studies we paid for, what was the outcome of that for the sidewalk study, the training center, the Calfee communication, and the Northgate Mall. And I was wondering if there's who would I be able to get that information from?
I'll be happy to get those to you. I apologize for the delay.
Okay. And I looked at the job descriptions, and on 2 of them for the police department, one of them says public information officer, and one of them says chaplain. And I thought that was one in the same person, but there's 2 different job descriptions. So is it 2 different people?
Nope, Jim Love is our chaplain and our public information officer.
And you had to do 2 separate job descriptions? Okay, I also, looking over the job descriptions, had asked, it said that one of the employees does a monthly or weekly, I don't know exactly what it is, an e-newsletter. So I asked for that, and I'm told we don't do that, but yet it's in the job description. The $60,000 that was approved a couple of meetings ago for a communications study, I guess it was, did that take place, or was that not
That was
done?
never approved.
Never approved.
That was,
Okay.
that was not approved.
I was confused on that. And also, the organizational chart differs from the organizational chart found in the budget book. And there's 3 positions, and so I just want to know, are these positions in addition to the org chart? It's got a public safety administrative assistant. Is that going to be a new position?
What's your question?
It says that there's a public safety administrative assistant.
Yes.
Okay, so
That's not a net 1 FTE. That's not like, we're not adding a new person. That's just a reclassification of an employee.
Okay. And then the addition of a facility manager
That is a +1.
and a support services commander.
That's a +1.
So you're adding those 3 positions in addition, or two positions in addition to what was already approved?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, and I had brought up the policy manual several times. I gave you some papers last meeting, and one of them, in the procedure book, it says that there are remedies for failure to comply with public record requests. And I'd like to know what exactly is that? Because it just says that by failing to adhere to this policy may be subject to disciplinary action as established by the policy manual. So, but I don't know what that is. What is the punishment if we aren't provided public records within a reasonable amount of time?
It's an elected official. I'm not trying to. Yeah.
Well, it's in the policy manual.
Right. So our fiscal officer is our public records agent. So, in the same way that I wouldn't discipline, Trustee Insko, Trustee Rajagopal, or Trustee Unger, I'm not going to discipline Ms. Harlow. And also, the workload for public records, as you know, is significant. Yes. I believe we've had 445 different records requests, each of which have many different records that are being requested. And so it does take a long time. And Fiscal Officer Harlow isn't a full-time person on staff, so it does take a while to produce those and redact them. And so we appreciate your patience, and we do our best to get you all the records that you request.
So there's no employee that assists with that? It's all...
Every employee assists with that.
Okay.
If you have a record, then you produce that record. So, while Fiscal Officer Harlow is the point person, she reaches out and says, hey, does anybody have a record that is responsive to this request? And
Okay.
if you do,
So
then
basically then, when it says remedies for failure to comply, it's basically a moot subject because there is nothing.
Well, no, I mean, so it's an expectation of all of our employees that when they're asked to produce a public record, they produce a public record. And if they do not, I would find that to be insubordination. I mean, you're being asked and told to produce a record, and if you say you're not going to do that, that's being insubordinate.
But basically, you're saying Heather's responsible for that, and you can't do anything to her, so...
No. I don't think that I would, even if I had the ability to discipline Fiscal Officer Harlow, I would not, because she does a really fantastic job of responding to the hundreds and hundreds of public records requests, each of which have, in some cases, thousands and thousands of documents that she has to produce. So I don't think that she's doing a bad job. In fact, I think she's doing an admirable job, if that clarifies things.
Okay, I'm just saying that this remedy in your policy book seems to be...
No, if somebody doesn't produce a public record, I would find that to be insubordination. Insubordination is a Class 1 offense. You can see it in our discipline policy. I think it's 1.14.
Heather's the one responsible, so... Well, there's a little bit of confusion there, but...
The Ohio Revised Code says that the fiscal officer is the chief records officer. She maintains, or he maintains, all of the records. So that person is, by law, the person that's required to maintain and produce records. She can't do that by herself. She reaches out to the trustees, and because we have a very large volume of public records requests, it takes a while.
Okay.
We could spend the money and hire somebody to just do public records requests. We're almost to the point where that's something that we're going to have to do. I mean, the volume is so great that next year we may have to look at that.
And then what if your public records all slacks off?
There's a lot of different ways to handle it.
By hire another employee. One
Kathy,
other
it's
question.
excuse me, it's a state law. If you don't comply with this, the state penalize the township.
If we didn't.
If you didn't.
Okay.
But we always have.
It's a severe penalty.
Okay.
And there are also incidents, there are a lot of townships being penalized.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Other
understand.
townships.
We'll do that, okay? Go ahead.
Okay, and then regarding the policies, have you decided, is there going to be any discussion on any of the items I brought to your attention, or is that just going to be swept under the rug and forgotten?
I have that here. You gave it to me at 9:14 in the evening last week, and we have not met since then, so I have read them. I've got some comments I can make you offline about them. Because we haven't had a meeting since then, I have not discussed it with the other trustees.
I would like to have some public discussion on those items, if possible.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kathy.
Did you give the other two the same copy, Kathy?
Sure did.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
The next one is Jennifer Rains, please.
I'm actually not Jennifer, my name is Carla, and I am a patron of McDog's. I've been going there for a number of years. We have done a lot of raising money out of this establishment, and Mick gives selflessly of his time, his establishment. And one of the things that hasn't been addressed tonight is one of the things the woman brought up the other day. That was the stage that had been asked, you guys asked for it to be removed. Okay, well, yes, while it was not permitted and it wasn't inspected, that was probably one of the soundest structures in Northbrook. I've allowed my grandchildren to run and play on that stage. She made it sound as if it was ready to fall in at any moment and that it was such a huge hazard. It was not. It was built for Breastfest so that the bands had a place to be undercover, because that goes on rain or shine. We're still out there raising money for those people. Now, I'm sorry that Nick didn't get a permit for it, but I just want you guys to understand that that stage was not a hazard or any type of detrimental thing to the community. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jennifer, your slip says Jennifer on it. Is it Carla or Jennifer? And why does it say Jennifer on there?
Because Jennifer was gonna speak and then she opted not. Everybody said.
Okay, but that's the same last name though, just,
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Okay, you got that name? Carl?
We just have to keep that for our records.
For the record.
These are
Carrie,
Sorry, when you're ready.
okay. Carrie Davis, please.
Broken toed, you said? Yeah. That's no good. I hope it heals.
First off, I don't drink. I don't drink at all. I don't like drinking. And I've been to McDog's, and I was in Orchards before he owned it. And as a non-drinker looking at it, it has just done leaps and bounds as far as the clientele, the way it's run, the way it looks. I don't know him personally. I don't know any of these people, but I've been there for multiple events. And I will say that I agree with everything these people are saying. It's a very well-run establishment. I also was here for the meeting when the woman was going off. And frankly, I believe most of the problems were because of the lack of responsiveness from our township. I mean, she did raise some issues that we should have taken care of immediately. And instead, these things festered and festered, and now we've got this huge, big problem because our zoning department, once again, failed in doing their job. And I think that's very unfortunate that our zoning department and sometimes our police response is not being the conduit to solve problems, because everything I heard her complain about, they're solvable, and apparently this owner is very willing to work with people and solve the problems. So, and we heard another complaint about the zoning department. Last meeting I did a bunch of hours of research on the zoning department, and I provided you all with a presentation. I was really brief to you, but gave you a lot in writing. Did anybody even bother to read it? Because as Frank said, and as someone else said after him, we never get any responses from you all. You never respond to emails. You do not respond to, I mean, I spent many hours compiling that record for you all to help you do a better job, be able to do more in the community at a better price, lower overhead, and nobody has even bothered to
Terry, I've
acknowledge
called
it.
you a number of times, and I have your handout that you gave us last week right here, and I've called you a number of times, albeit not in the last, since I got this, but we've talked a lot of times.
I have not talked to you since.
Right, that's what I said, not since you gave me this. Okay.
Carrie, all the report you gave, I took it to the judge. We have, last week, I had a long meeting with the Judge Bouchard, all the zoning issues.
Well, if you,
And we're gonna revitalize the whole.
I wrote her a letter also. I don't know if she shared that with you, but
Yeah.
Judge,
Yeah,
well,
she
actually I
showed me.
wrote Judge Powers,
She showed me
not
the-
Judge Bouchard. But anyway, I don't want to take up too much time on that.
We'll continue.
But I just want to concur with Frank and the other person who spoke that we do not get our questions answered. Our zoning department is not responsive. Sometimes the police department, they're overworked. I just saw a stat today on Facebook where we're one of the safest cities in Ohio, and I thought that was really cool. But one piece of data that was missing was that of our officer to resident ratio, and it was not listed. Most of them were 300 to 500. When I did our calculation based on my best estimate of the number of officers, I estimated 50. We're at like 1,500 to 1, whereas all these other communities have a 1 to 500 or lower thing. And I think when we look at our crime statistics, because that's always confused me, and I was always looking for something nefarious. And it dawned on me today, when you've got one officer tending to 1,500 people, our crime numbers are going to look different because they simply can't. It's impossible. They're not supermen. So I think that might be skewing our results. But, and we've heard people mention that the police aren't responding in the way they want, and that's common. The other thing I wanted to present to you, and I'm not going to take up all these people's times because they're here for one reason, so I'm not going to go in too much detail, is the in-town suites. Greg proposed that he wanted feedback from the community
Love
on
feedback on
actually
that.
buying in-town suites because there does not appear to be too many options. I provided you with, I did some more free research for you, gave you 5 different proposals on how to remediate the problems at the in-town suites. One thing I do want to show you is the number one thing is, in 2017, the assessed value on that property is $2.696 million, but in 2008, it was 4.532. And I wanted to bring it to your attention that they have been challenging their assessments, and I think we need to challenge back. I think we need to fight them, because my gut feeling is if it was worth $4.5 million in 2008, it's worth darn near that or more, not half of that now. So I don't think we're getting the tax money we're supposed to be getting from them. But I also gave you ideas on a broader collection of data in order to support a public nuisance complaint. Talked about how we can utilize our zoning department, because they are actually only using their residential zoning designation, not their business one so much, and they're in violation on a number of counts. And one of the things I provided to Raj, and he can copy you guys on that, is that it was.
Ms. Davis, I want to, sorry for interfering with you. You almost went on 7 minutes. I'd like to keep in time. Would you
Okay.
please wrap it
I'm
up in a
doing the
minute?
best I can.
No, you need to, sorry to interfere. I got other people there. We need to continue on the meetings.
Okay, one other
Appreciate
thing.
it.
For the
Go ahead.
last 3 months or more, this board has called me a liar. They have called me a conspiracy theorist. They have found within 21 pages of documents, they found one small error and repeated the mistake 3 times. And you all have been saying in regards to the playground, I've been telling you something bad happened with that, and I explained it to you best I could. And I showed you the news media publishing what happened, and you told me, Dan, you said the news gets it wrong. Greg, you told me they got it wrong, and you were the one who said I was conspiracy
I don't recall that
theorist.
conversation.
I want you to know that just the other night, I was tickled to death because you guys have been calling me names like you do to many residents.
Yeah, I don't think you're talking about me. Where would
I know you just find every mistake you can
No,
find.
no,
on
you were
residents.
wrong
But
about-
Let me finish so you can get me away from your mic, all right? So I want you to know that I just found the other night when I was looking up documents for the Attorney General's office, because they're very interested. And this document was signed by Kevin Schwarzkopf on October 30th, 2018. This is what you call a smoking gun. And he sent this document out to the entire community soliciting donations. And he says in it, just like I've alleged all along, that the plans will be finalized in January 2019. He wrote it himself.
He doesn't make
You
those decisions,
denied-
we do.
I know, but he made them behind your back.
Well,
So anyway, the bottom line is, he is the one who said this. None of you would call the reporter and confirm the story. You still have not done so. And here it is in his own letter to the entire community, stating that they will dismantling it. It's right here in writing, Greg.
If he got it wrong, he got it wrong.
Carrie, I'm
That's
sorry
unfortunate.
to, hold on, Greg, please.
So-
Greg, I'm sorry to interfere with you. I'd love to sit down after the meeting with you
I
and
don't
talk
want
to
to
you.
sit down at any meetings. I have donated thousands of hours of
I
free
do.
research.
I'd like to continue the
and I'm
meeting,
pretty
please.
much done. I would like to
I'd
say
like to
this.
call
I
the
want to
next
say one more thing because I don't really want to come back here anymore. I have found partners at the auditor's office and at the attorney general's office who respect my degree and my work and my experience, whereas you all do not. But anyway, I want to mention at the CIC meeting, I saw something, and it wasn't the first time, but it kind of made me sick.
You know, well, I need to, Carrie.
Look, last week you guys dogged me 3 times. I'm going to
I'm
finish.
not dogging you, ma'am. I said in the beginning of the meeting, we have to give the equal opportunity for everybody. I made a mistake. I'm learning every meeting and new lessons. I want this meeting to be a meaningful meeting.
I'm almost
You know, I know you're a very brilliant
Well,
lady.
here's the thing.
Please
At the
hear me.
SIC
Please hear
meeting,
me. You're a very
the
brilliant
Board of
lady. You spend a lot of
Trustees
things. I like to
all agreed with the
continue my
audience
meeting.
on public commentary, and I want you to recognize that all of your staff members voted against you. They
Yes.
voted against you, and they do this repeatedly in the CIC meetings. Go back and look. You guys lead, and they thumb their nose at you, and they vote opposite you guys do. And I think that's a lot of the problems going on in this community, and why good ideas are being thrown aside and questions aren't being answered is because your staff is not following your lead. So I'll let you go on that.
Yeah. You're a brilliant lady. I recognize your talent making research and bring it to our meetings. Continue to do so. And I'd like to move on, ma'am, please. Thank you very much. Okay. Next one is Brace Perino.
Bruce.
I'm sorry, sir.
He's just saving the best for last, Bruce. No pressure.
Sorry, sir.
Good evening. As usual, it's become an interesting meeting. What I'm up here today about is the 2 motions to expend funds for soliciting proposals for engineering services for design at Chicane and for the design and construction of landscape gateway using lights, trees, and interchange at 275 in Colerain Township. I don't see this as of great importance at this point. It's unplanned, it's unbudgeted, and it should be put off until the next fiscal year. As far as chicanes, be careful what you ask for, because the laws of unintended consequences may come back to bite you. As far as the interchange, I spoke before about the whole Colerain Township road. I don't find that the gateway there is that bad a shape, to
be honest with you. I think some of the businesses have kept that up fairly well. People trash it. What can we do? That was discussed last meeting. But again, I don't see the need to push this to the head of the game to reorganize the township budget to accommodate these two items. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you, Bruce. Mr. Acton, would you talk to us, please?
How you doing, Jim?
Well, I was doing fine until I started reading the agenda for tonight. And I visited, I think you don't know, but my name's Jim Acton. I really keep these guys straight sometimes.
All the time, not sometimes, all the time.
All the time. But I went down to Heritage Park Monday, and I visited with some of my neighbors that walk their dogs down there today in my neighborhood. But before I get to that, Mr. Unger, what complaints are you going to file against your property?
What complaints am I going to file against your property?
Yes, sir.
None. Is there a problem that should be looked
You
into?
wrote my address and all, and said I was going to be the first one in your list to file a complaint against, so I thought I'd better check and see if I got any.
Oh, you invited me to file a complaint. I didn't file it.
Okay, thank you.
You were kidding around, weren't you?
Thank you. But they went down to Heritage Park, and Mr. Schwarzkopf, I presume, is in the back tonight. But I have a question from them, and I said I would get an answer. Is there any way that we can find out who was in that park Easter Day? I don't think you gentlemen went
Like a
down.
shelter rent? Are you saying like a shelter rental or something?
Shelter rental.
Well, sure.
Monday, one of the Rumpke family went down there to walk his dog. He could not get by the trash that was strewn all over the park. The restaurants were a disaster. He was ashamed of saying, this is Heritage Park. This is a park that we should be proud of.
I love that park, Mr. Chairman. We
Same
go,
here.
I love
we
it
go
too.
there
I'll second
almost
that.
every day.
Let my dog run when I can.
We take our
Have any
dog.
of you been down there this week to see what the park looks like?
I haven't seen the new flagpole yet, but I'd like to. Did you see it while you were there?
No.
I don't see that.
I rely on my neighbors that walk down there and ride their bikes and things like that to tell me what's going on between the ball field where the dog park is
Gotcha.
and the river. If possible, Mr. Schwarzkopf is able to find out who rented those areas down there and send them a bill for about $500. Because I know his crew had to go down there and clean the mess up. No comment?
The mess from Rumpke, is that what you're saying?
No.
I missed that.
You know who rented?
Oh, you know
the
who rented the
shelters
shelter?
down there?
Yeah, so I'm not sure how the deposit works, but maybe that's an option we can look into.
Jeff, can you look into who rented that and see if it was an actual rental or if somebody just invaded or?
Yes, sir.
Thank
It
you.
wasn't invaded. Garbage cans were overflowing. Looked like somebody had taken a crap where they shouldn't have.
Jeff's gonna look in and see if there was a rental on Sunday and see who it was. Thank you.
I don't think it's more than just one rental. I think it was multiple rentals. Here's my notes here for a couple minutes. I was doing this as I was driving.
What?
You know, I'm one of those
He's a man of many talents, guys.
Many talents.
Yeah.
The restrooms were trashed, garbage was overflowing the barrels. Guess who has to go down there and pick that stuff up and clean it up? Kevin's people. He's lost 3 people in the last 2 years, I think it is. Correct me, Kevin, if I'm wrong. 2 by death and 1 got fired. They haven't been replaced yet. He's shorthanded. His whole
Definitely
department-
shorthanded.
I agree.
His whole department's shorthanded.
That's absolutely
That's
true.
the first time somebody's agreed with me on that point. Which brings the next point up, talking about Mr. Schwarzkopf. He spent many, many hours talking to the people about supposedly Mega Land, as you'd like to call it, Greg. You guys rejected all 3 offers. Where do we stand? Is it going to be 2020, 2021 before that park is ever built again?
We're going to talk. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in executive session.
I think, let me explain to you. I've been talking to Kevin. We still have the money in place, the grants in place. We didn't lose a grant. And something that it come up, something happened, okay? And we revitalize that park project.
People, Raj, would like to know what happened because all 3 bids got turned down. 1 bid was voted on to build it this way. Mr. Insko says it wasn't Megan enough. What's Megan? Did he say anything about what these people should add to it and come back to us? No, it's dead.
Jeff, would you explain
for this year?
Our administrator will explain. Give some brief.
Sure. So we did a design build process where we solicited qualifications from folks that wanted to design and then build this project.
3 people.
There were 4. There were actually 4, and then 3 were. And then 3 were invited to submit proposals, and 3 did. And those 3 proposals were evaluated by a third-party architect that we hired, which is required by law. It's called a criterion architect. And then they made a report to the trustees, and then we brought the 3 proposals to the trustees, and the trustees decided that that wasn't the direction that they wanted to go. And so now we're off to. It's only been 2 weeks since that happened, so I believe that we're going to have a mega land.
Are we looking until next year now to get the park built down there, Colerain Park?
It depends on the process moving forward, and I'm sorry to say that I don't have it with me right now. I don't know what that process is going to be right now, but I want to build a mega land.
Greg.
Thanks, Mr. Actor.
Let me finish here.
Your 5 minutes are up, and I would like you to wrap it up, please.
I'll wrap it up real quick, like.
Yes, sir. You're the one who told me that people go ahead and bang the gavel. You told me all the time. So please, Rep, I would like to.
Let me find my page here. There's 3 other things I'll bring up at the next trustee meeting or the next meeting that residents are able to speak at, and most of the people will be gone.
You can call us anytime. You don't have to wait to a meeting to call
I'm
us.
not calling you.
I'll answer if you call me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it very much.
March 2018, I came before this board and said that you were the most dysfunctional group of people I've ever met. I'm asking each one of you tonight, before the public, before God, and for whoever else is out there, to tell me what you've done for Colerain Township residents in 2018.
Can I go first?
I'd like a report from you. Raj, I'd like one from you. And Greg, I'd like one from you. Be prepared at the next meeting when I ask that same question.
Thank you, sir.
The rest of my questions I'll bring up when everybody else is gone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. I think that concludes. Yes, sir?
Now, please state your name.
Yes, sir.
I've been a lifelong resident in Colerain Township for all my life since the time I've been 5 years old. I grew up around McDogg's Lakeside Saloon. I'd like to say that during that time. He's always been a good guy, always looked out for the community. If there was anything we could ever do to help the community, we've always been more than willing to, whether it's a benefit or to help somebody who's going through hard times, whether it's a fire or many different occasions. I've been there personally and seen us as a family step up and take care of the community. As far as the situation with the deck and it not being approved, should have been approved, regardless if it was built structurally sound or not. Should have had a permit, didn't. He did what was necessary and took it down. I went there today, it was took down. He's always been willing to follow the law. We've always been in cooperation with Colerain Township or any other township to help. We take care of ourselves. I've been there plenty of times where if anybody's in any need or need anything, we're always there to help each other out. It's a family oriented place of establishment. I don't have anything written out or didn't plan on coming here today, but when I heard about it, I felt that it was my duty to come up here and at least speak on the times and the relationship I have with him. My uncle passed away. He was there to help benefit him, was there at his funeral. I've seen him do many different benefits for other people who are going through similar tragedies as far as breast cancer or anything else. And he's never been a problem to the community. We've always been a benefit to the community. We've always been there to help each other out, support each other, be there as a family. I don't know what the huge issue is. I can't really speak on that, but all I can speak on is Mr. Teeters as a man. He's always been a good man. He's always done what was asked of him and what's expected of him. We've always tried to help him. So as far as that goes, that's all I have to say. He's a good man, good establishment. We all look out for each other. We're family. If you guys want us to do something or you need us to adjust the way we're handling things now, he'll take that into exception and change the way he does. Something similar with smoking. Stop smoking in the establishment. He let everybody know, no smoking, you know? And anything to that sort, I can always say he's always followed the rules and regulations of what's asked of him from his community or anyone else, regardless if I agree with it. He follows the rules and always has, just like he has today, you know? And I'm just here to vouch on his behalf because I have seen him. I'm 35 years old. I've known him since I was 15 years old, and he has always been an asset to the community and been there to help others when they need it. And that's what I would like to give to the conversation today, is the fact of my personal interaction with him and what he has done to help the community. And if there's any questions, you feel free to ask, but that's what I have to give.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you very much. That concludes all the citizens' address. Now we move on to the administrative reports. Mr. Jeff Mills?
We'll begin with Police Chief Mark Denny.
Jeff, your mic is off, she said.
We'll begin with Police Chief Mark Denny.
Good evening. Just a quick comment. Someone before me stated that our police officers are not supermen. I'd like to challenge that. I think they are. They do a fantastic job. They handle a very large work volume, and they do a great job doing it. So I take a little exception to that. And another comment was made at a previous meeting about the qualifications of some of the employees, specifically the police officers, were brought up. So I did a little digging into that. Within the police department, we have 6 associate's degrees, 30 bachelor's degrees, and 5 master's degrees. We have 8 military veterans. Found the national average of sworn police officers with a 4-year degree is 28%, or almost twice that amount in our police department. In addition to those numbers, we have 3 officers that have attained the Ohio Chiefs of Association of Police Certified Law Enforcement Executive 14-month master's degree level law enforcement management program. We have 2 that have attended the Northwestern University School of Police Staff and Command, which is a 10-week in-residence master's degree program. And 1 has attended, and 1 has been selected to attend the prestigious FBI National Academy, which is a 3-month in-residence program that accepts only 1% of all law enforcement. So I'm very proud of the qualifications of the men and women we have serving us, and I thought it was important that I stand up here and say that to you.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief. We got a fine police department. Chief, I just want to commend some of the detectives' work. They're happening right now, catching murderers and catching the robbers. It's amazing work you guys do.
They impress us on a daily basis, and I know you saw the story of the
Story.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Of the officer that visited one of our residents and bought her an Easter basket. Had no idea that we would.
Yes,
find out.
obviously.
That's the quality of people we have out there.
Yeah, that's a good communication.
Mark, there was a citizen who made a comment about our citizen to officer ratio. What do we have, 54 officers and 58,000 residents? That's pretty close to 1 to 1,000 as opposed to 1 to 1,500, which is what that resident said, which is about a third off.
Yeah, the national average is about twice that amount of what we have, so we are
a little low, but we're
lower,
not 1 for 1,500. We're about 1 for 1,000 or so.
we are blessed by having a great community. We have 58,000
Right.
residents who about 55,000 never need us.
But is that correct then, about 1 to 1,000 or so,
Just a
right
little
in that
bit,
range?
yes, that's
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Great work.
Thank you, Chief. Trustees, that concludes the administrative reports for this evening.
Okay. Next, we move on to the trustees report. Mr. Humbert.
Great, I'll go first. And I'll keep it short. The last 2 weeks, I've been out riding around looking at a lot of stuff. I was so glad to hear somebody stand up and say something positive about Royal Heights. I guess it got paved because I drove back on Barthas Place 2 weeks ago, and it was in the worst possible condition ever. The gravel was all over the place. I was back there in a Ford Fusion, which is kind of a lower profile car, and I wasn't comfortable going 5 miles an hour. It was enough that I was going to sign up to speak at a trustee meeting. So I'm glad that I do go out and look at stuff, and for people who don't think I do, I actually do. I've been all over the complaints about the cars on Rutherford. We have that same problem on Overdale, and where one guy has 6 or 7 cars, and I've been up there 2 or 3 times, and I've gone so far as to contact the state registrar of motor vehicles because I'm thinking, well, this guy has plates on these cars. Does he have insurance for them? Because when you apply for license plates, believe it or not, you're signing an affidavit that swears you have insurance. I think it's called a financial responsibility affidavit. But the State Department of Motor Vehicles has just stopped sending out those random letters seeking you to prove your insurance, so I guess there's really no way to find out a vehicle has insurance until you pull them over and ask them to display their insurance. So the thing on Rutherford, glad to hear about it. Sorry it's there. I have worked on stuff like that. One of the people wonder what our zoning department is doing. About a year ago, we had some complaints about a house down on 7175 Sheed Road. That house is gone. It's been torn down, and the lot is cleared, and the trash is gone. And we've had a couple real bad problem houses that are gone, and this Board of Trustees has really ramped it up on the zoning stuff. And yes, our department, nobody's perfect, but their workload has increased about 30% in the last year and a half, and it's just because we're just pushing them around and making phone calls, and people call me and I jump on them. And one last thing, somebody else stood up and said that we call that citizen a liar. I have never used that word, and I'm not on Facebook or social media, and the only thing I had corrected her on was when she mentioned that our zoning director had a high school degree when she has a bachelor's from UC and a master's, an MBA from Xavier.
Yes, sir.
And just to be clear, and I don't call people liars, people make mistakes, I just corrected the record. So I have not called that person any names. I try to be respectful to everybody. Everybody has my cell phone number. It's on the township website. I get plenty of calls. I had one yesterday from a place over by Northgate Mall that I'm going to follow up with you with later. So
okay.
And my report was pretty short. I challenge you to make yours shorter than mine, Greg. Go.
Man, you guys got to pay more attention. I always give my thorough trustee reports on the first trustee meeting of the month. My second ones are.
Well, glad to hear you don't have one. Go ahead, Raj.
Sure.
Yeah, that's how I've always been.
Thank you, Greg.
So I can put that, I'm sorry, I can put in the record that Mr. Insko had no report.
It's always been like this. Where have you guys been? It's always been. It's the first meeting of the month. I always give my trustee reports.
Thank you very much. I got a few things to say. It's a very, very important thing. Like I said earlier, last week myself and Jenna, the director of planning, zoning, we met with Judge Bouchard. What the reason for this, we personally met with him and make a severe punishment or aggressive, change the docket, go faster, get these people in and out. And he was really happy to work with us. and he said anything we need and bring the people in the docket to speed up the process. Every meeting we hear this, a lot of the zoning violations, the car park, the houses abandoned, this mattress in the front of the driveway, front of the houses, pile of things. And it usually takes a long time to put it in the docket. And Judge Bouchard assured us that he will speed up the process. Also, you're also seeing now, we got a message from Jeff Mills about we issue KPS, Judge issue KPS right away. The police, we working with the police department, police officers issue KPS, and one of the police officers going to issue KPS, find out he's got the warrants and something else. So there are criminals there. There are people violating this, but we want to make Colerain Township better. The only way is just be hard on this zoning issues and the people messing up our township. And then Jenna and me also set ourselves how we can better our department, especially the zoning department. Of course, we find a way to appropriate more money for the department, and that's very critical. We're hiring more the law code enforcement officer, and you're going to see a significant difference in the zoning and code enforcement. I'm really excited about moving forward this summer, and also met with Chief. The patrolling, the power shift is planning. The bicycle police officers patrolling neighborhood, and we see the combination of these two departments together, working together, which never happened before, is happening now, and will make our townships better. Also, you also see Colerain Avenue clean now, working with the ODOT sending their people also cleaning. It's better than ever. Things take some time, but it's happening quickly. Now we're making it happen. Our goal is to have the strategic plan. I met with all the department heads last week, and what are we in the quarter, in the 2018 strategic plan? What we accomplished in 2019? That's Mr. Jim Atkins. I'll report to you about what the question he asked. So we're not just going to talk about the planning. We actually see the quantifying. Where are we in 2019? First quarter, second quarter. We are making a lot of progress. So by 2019, you'll see the significant difference in Colerain Township, where we're heading to. That's my report. Thank you.
Thanks, Raj.
Thank you.
He pays them well.
So after the trustee report, we got new business.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Trustee Rajagopal. The first items of new business are in the police department, and I'll invite Chief Denny back up to the microphone.
Hello again. I got two items for you tonight. The first is a motion to accept a donation. Recommend adoption of a motion to accept a donation of a police canine valued at $10,000 from the Matt Haverkamp Foundation. I came to the meeting last 2 weeks ago and gave you the news that we were awarded our second canine. Haverkamps were kind enough to give us the actual donation, and I've got $10,000. It's actually going to be $14,000 because they've agreed to pay for the training as well. So this is a canine. We're getting it at no cost to the township. So I just need the board's approval to accept that.
I will absolutely make that motion.
I second it. Any discussions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you to the Haverkamp
Very
Foundation.
good, great,
Huge.
big
Here it is.
decision.
To be thanked in front of you.
Perfect.
One of the meetings
Thank
very
you.
soon.
Okay, Heather, would you please give a roll
Mr.
call?
Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Second item is a motion to authorize execution of an agreement with Shallow Creek Kennels. Recommend adoption of a motion to permit Colerain Township Administrator Jeff Mills to sign an agreement with Shallow Creek Kennels to provide canine training to the township's new canine. I have the agreement here, and it does impart some liability upon the township, so we, at the advice of Mr. Barbier, I brought it in front of the board for your approval. There is no cost to the township for any of this training, though.
We have such a motion on the floor.
For the, I'll motion that we approve that agreement.
approve the agreement.
Offer a second.
Any discussions?
Not for mine.
I think this expense is completely covered, and we have a good training dog. It'll also help our police department, especially the drugs, capture the fugitive, all the people.
Yeah, we're very excited. This is one of the premier places to get the canine. Cincinnati Police uses this, and it's considered to be the place to get a quality canine that's trained well.
Good.
Love it.
We had to send a thank you letter to the donors.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any further discussions?
No.
Okay. Would you please go ahead?
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rosenbaum?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Chief, who needs to sign this? It says head of department.
I think it's for Jeff
Yep,
to sign. I
I'll
guess
sign
we could
it.
have just
Yep.
handed it to
Yes,
him.
yes,
That
yes,
made more
yes.
sense, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Apologize. Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Chief. Okay, Trustee Rajagopal and Board of Trustees, the next item comes from the Planning and Zoning Department. It is a motion to initiate a text amendment to revise the review process for development plans and zoning changes. There was a House bill that made lots of changes to the rules that townships have to follow. One of the rules that it changed was it allowed for townships for it not to be mandatory to submit all development reviews down to Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission for their review. Before, there were certain items that always had to go to Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission. I believe it was House Bill 500 that made that change, and now we're not required to. We do get value in submitting, at times, development to Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission. And for that reason, we aren't going to do what some communities are doing, which says, we're going to streamline this 100% all the time and never send anything to Hamilton County Regional Planning for their review. The recommendation is for a zoning text amendment that changes all of the shalls to mays. And it gives the discretion to Director LeCount as to when she sends development review down to Hamilton County. So the recommendation is to initiate the text amendment. Where it goes from here, actually it goes straight down to Hamilton County Regional Planning Commission, and because right now it says we shall, and so we will. After the Regional Planning Commission makes their recommendation, they'll make their recommendation to our Zoning Commission. Our Zoning Commission will then vote and make a recommendation back to you. So this is going to end up on a future agenda once it runs that loop back to you. Your role tonight is to initiate the text amendment, and the recommendation is to approve.
I'll make a motion then.
And I'll second it.
Any discussions?
I think that ultimately that'll come back to us in July 9th or something like that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so we will have a chance to review what the
Yes, you'll see.
what the results of this are.
Yep, you'll get a recommendation from the Regional Planning Commission, our Colerain Township Zoning Commission, and then ultimately it's legislative action that is your jurisdiction.
It's a great change in the House bill. I think it gives more leverage for the township, the local government. You changing to shall to may, so make a better decision for the better of the township. So we have approve the resolution, right?
Recommendation is to approve a motion.
Just to move it on
Yep.
down the line.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
No other discussion from me.
Okay. No. Go ahead.
Mr. Insco? Aye. Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Thank you, Board. The next item on the agenda, the next several items are related to Administration Department. As you are all aware, the Township Board of Trustees created the Colerain Township Financial Advisory Committee. That organization was tasked with reviewing all of our financial policies and making recommendations back to this board. The Township Financial Advisory Committee met on February 6th and April 4th and reviewed and offered suggested modifications to a purchasing policy. The policy does differ a bit from the past purchasing policy, and the biggest change, again, goes back to House Bill 500. House Bill 500 changed wait a minute, I've got actually the language here. Made changes to Ohio Revised Code Section 507.11, and it increased the threshold that a township employee could incur from $2,500 to $10,000. What this means in practice is that that law change before you could grant the township administrator the authority to sign all POs for at or below 2,500. They've increased that threshold to 10,000. The Financial Advisory Committee spent a great deal of time discussing this in February and then again in April. And as they looked at the entire policy, they saw that the Board of Trustees had granted the authority to the Township Administrator to execute contracts at or below $10,000. And it made sense to the Financial Advisory Committee to align the ability to sign a purchase order with the ability to sign a contract. And so they made the recommendation to increase that threshold to 10,000 pursuant to state law and the change in House Bill 500. So the rest of the purchasing policy, I think, kudos to the Financial Advisory Committee. I think that they have produced a very clean, readable, easily understood purchasing policy that deals with procurement. It deals with how purchase orders should work, invoicing, contracts, competitive bidding, purchasing abilities. This is the bread and butter of what we do every day, and it's a very important document. And the recommendation from the Financial Advisory Committee, the vote was 5-0 to approve, and staff's recommendation is to approve as well.
I'll make the motion.
I second it. Any discussions?
Yes, I would like to motion to amend this. I disagree with raising the threshold from 2,500 to 10,000. The way our purchasing policy is, anything between 2,500 and 10,000, you have to go out and get 3 price quotes. But by raising the threshold to $10,000, if it's just a singular purchase, I would prefer that the check and balance of having me or a future trustee have to sign a purchase order over 2,500, or you or a future administrator being held to that. I think it's just a good check and balance that anything over a certain amount of money, which I'm fine with the 2,500, I would prefer that. Everything else in here I'm fine with, but that one item I would prefer it stayed at 2,500. So I don't know if I need a motion to amend it to see if I can. So
Yes.
how would I do that?
You do need you made a motion to amend.
I will go ahead and motion to hold this policy as presented, with the exception of I'd like to leave the purchase order signature amount at $2,500.
And now your motion to amend will take precedence if you get a second.
And
then
if
they'll
somebody
vote
give
on
me a
that.
second so we could discuss it, I would be thrilled.
I'll go in second.
So now you would open that for discussion.
Discussions.
So
Go ahead.
I've said my piece. I would just, as a check and balance, and I think you're doing a great job, but you and I aren't going to be here forever, and this will be a hard thing to ever get back, from some future trustee or some future administrator. And to me, and to you, I'm sure, and to everybody out here, $2,500 is a lot of money. $10,000 is a whole lot of money. It's nothing personal. I just think there should be that check and balance, because ultimately people come up here and holler at us when we spend money. And, if I don't, there's been a lot of stuff go through that's over 2,500 that I'm glad I got to see it. And I don't think I'll ever see it if it's over 10,000. So I'd ask you guys to support me on that change.
If I can chime in here, first of all, the Financial Advisory Committee is a volunteer committee, and I want to thank them for their time and their hard work, because they don't have to do that for us. With that being said, is there anyone here from the Financial Advisory Committee that would like to comment on Dan's comments? Because I would love to hear it if anybody's willing to. Thank you, Bruce.
Bruce Perano, one of the 5 people on the Financial Advisory Committee. It just makes sense that if you've got a contractual ability to sign up to 10,000, these, procurements should be the same. I understand you want to keep a tight rein and you're worried about what may happen later on down the road. But even $10,000 is a lot of money to a lot of the residents, but you're looking at it at a $43 million budget, it's still not a huge amount. It's up to you. Where's advisory?
Thank you.
So,
Thanks, Chris.
Chris Henson. What we looked at was the fact that the administrator can sign a $10,000 contract.
Right.
But he has to, and everything done in the township is done by purchase order. So he signs a $10,000 contract, and then he has to wait 2 or 3 weeks to bring it before the board to get the aligned purchase order, which doesn't make any sense. So if he can sign the contract for 10,000, then it should be an automatic that the purchase order is okayed at 10,000. Because the purchase order is basically saying from Heather that the money is there for the expenditure. You follow me?
I understand the three of us are ultimately responsible for what goes on here, and I stop up here 2 or 3 days a week. I'm up here at Friday night at 9 o'clock. I'm up here on Sundays. I stop up and sign stuff. I try to keep up with it. I realize we have a business to run here, and I make sure my signature is applied to everything that it statutorily needs to be applied to, and I would prefer it stayed at 2,500, so.
We were looking for the alignment. If he can sign a contract committing the township to $10,000,
Then why?
then why can't Heather go ahead and okay the $10,000 purchase order to align with it and not have to come back to the board? Because are you going to say no to the purchase order that he's already signed the contract for?
There's been a few things we've said no to, yes.
After he signed the contract?
Not after he signed a contract, no.
So that's the question.
Yeah.
He's already had the authority to sign the contract.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then we're just asking that Heather can go ahead and okay the $10,000 purchase order for an alignment, because
The alignment's the issue.
the alignment was the issue.
Just to clarify, I am not approving the purchase order. I am certifying that the funds are available in that account. You could be buying 10,000 widgets, but the money's there, and that's what I'm signing for.
We enjoy our widgets.
Once the trustees signed it, that becomes, okay to pay that money. I think Dane, I agree with Dane, because I know you got a contract of $10,000, but it's more viable, the visible thing for the trustees to know where, otherwise we'll never see the purchase orders.
Well, the contract will be binding when he signs it, except that without the certification of that the funds are necessary, the contract is not really binding. That's something that's, the PO has to go with it in order to certify that the Treasury has the funds necessary. So that's kind of a step with the process of the contract.
Ralph, do you mind opening this up to residents? Yeah, thank you. I want to hear what you have to say, Kathy.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I know you're very passionate about policy.
If Jeff approves a contract, he should immediately give it to somebody in the fiscal office to do a purchase order. I mean, he doesn't have to wait till the next meeting to do a purchase order. You immediately do it. And then the only difference would be, instead of him approving the purchase order without you not even knowing about the contract, is that it's over $2,500, so you will see it. And I think that's a very good idea for you to see.
You think it should be aligned?
Huh?
You think it should be aligned?
Well,
10,000, 10,000.
No, I think it should stay at
Stay at
2,500.
2,500.
Because if he signs a contract for $10,000, you know nothing about it. At least if you have to sign
And that's my
the
purpose,
purchase
is that's my best way of seeing them, is stopping up here, looking at it. If there's one I have questions on, I'll usually put a Post-it note on it and go, hey, what is this? And we talk and he explains it.
Right.
But that's, I'm one guy up here.
But that
That's
has-
what I want, is to see them, so.
Yeah, the
'cause
purchase
ultimately,
order
I'm the one who
itself
gets-
is just certifying the funds are
Right.
there.
Okay.
And then he'll give the purchase order to you, and you sign it, and everything's
I knew
fine.
eventually we would agree on something.
Sit down, quick.
Just one piece of information, though.
Yeah, real quick, hold on, because I want to hear some rebuttals here, because I'm not 100% on this.
I think we should.
One piece of information. So I put every contract that I sign on the trustee agenda, right? And that's something that's new. It's part of our commitment to transparency. I believe that I'm so proud of the work that we do. I want everybody to see the work we do. I don't want to hide anything. I want you guys to know about it, and I want to be doing it. So I've put it's a change that we've made, and I put every contract that I sign on the agenda. So that the trustees, it's not like there's anything being hidden. I publish it for the world to see, because I'm proud of the work that we do.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you for
No.
that.
Yeah, it's nothing personal.
Yeah,
It's just, I'm not gonna be
I'm
here
not-
forever, you're not gonna be here forever, that'll be a tough thing to ever undo.
Good, we are ready to, go ahead, Jim, please.
Excuse me, can I get up?
Sorry.
The way it sounds right now, he can sign a $10,000 contract with somebody, and as Dan is pointing out, thank you for saying what you did. You two don't know what's going on.
I agree, okay, we'll.
Anyway.
We have motion on the floor, amended motion, right? We can recall, call again for the second, right?
Right now, there's a motion to amend on the floor to change the $10,000 to $2,500.
Which is what it is yesterday.
And it's been seconded.
The second.
So
Now we just need to
We already
vote.
made the discussion,
vote on the motion to amend.
we already had a discussion, go ahead and call for the vote.
Mr. Insco?
Okay, so this is the beauty of live government. We can't just pick up the phone and call each other, and I just need more time on this. So for me, I'm gonna, I guess I'm gonna abstain for the time being, just to give myself more time to think about it, because I do like the idea of aligning budgets, but I understand what Dan's saying.
Okay.
So that's gonna be my vote for the time being.
Aye. Okay,
And,
aye,
and Mr. Unger.
Aye. Motion carries.
So the motion to amend carried, so now that you would need to vote on the
The
policy
purchase order.
as amended.
I would motion that we approve the policy as amended.
I think we already had a motion
Does that already exist?
that already exists.
Now, the motion that existed was before it was amended. Then there was a motion to amend, which took precedence. Now it has been amended, now you need to vote on the amended policy.
So we don't need the motion and seconding, and you just need a couple ayes to make this pass.
I would do a motion to amend the policy as, motion to pass
I-
the policy.
Larry, your mic's off. Thank you, Dana.
I motion that we would approve the policy as amended, is that correct?
Yes.
okay, I second it. Okay, any discussions?
Yeah, Larry, help me out here, because I just abstained on the last one. Now on this one, I still feel the same way, just with timing and everything.
Well, they've already moved to amend it. So the purchasing policy has been amended so that there's a $2,500 limit on, and then there has to be a sign off on the PO.
So for me to vote on this time around, it would be a,
You'd be voting on the policy as amended. There's no reason you can't vote.
Clearly vote yes or no or abstain on this without affecting your last, is that correct?
Yes, you can vote
Okay.
however you want. You don't need to abstain again.
okay, I'm prepared then, Heather.
Okay, Heather, go
Oh,
ahead.
forgive me. That was a little, that was a first.
Sure. Mr. Insco?
No this time around.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
And Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Very good, thank you, Board. The next item on the agenda is a motion to, actually, the next item on the agenda is a resolution modifying our records retention policy, and we recommend approval of this resolution that will adopt a modified version of our records retention policy. April 8th of this year, House Bill 425 took effect. The bill addresses records retention and redaction requirements regarding body cameras. The policy that was included in the trustee agenda packet was modified to reflect changes in state law. While there is no urgent requirement that this policy be adopted at this meeting, the police department obviously will abide by state law regardless of what you do with this policy. But we do believe that it's prudent to ensure that policy reflects practice, and therefore are requesting adoption of this policy. So we recommend approval of a resolution to amend.
I would motion we do such a thing.
Hold on for a second.
Any discussions?
Not for mine.
Not for my.
I'm on. Go ahead and call for the. roll
Mr.
call,
Insco?
please.
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Thank you, Board.
And here is that resolution for your signature.
The next item, actually, the next two items are being responsive to trustees. So as everyone is aware, trustees set policy and priorities, and the administration and staff, we execute those policies and priorities. At the last meeting, Trustee Insco, you made it very clear that you would like to solicit proposals for engineering services to design a chicane on Laura Linda Drive. With a with an adopted motion that would direct staff to do such a thing, I would then know that 2 trustees want to move in that direction, and I would solicit those engineering services. What we would get from that are proposals. How much will it cost to engineer a chicane on Laura Linda Drive? We would also probably have an engineer's estimated cost, so we'll know how much it would cost to construct. We would have the bid documents that we could go out to bid for construction in the future, should you choose to do that. This first step is directing staff to just get bids for design services to design a chicane. You will then have an opportunity to say, yes, we would like to spend that money, or no, we would not, but this would get the design moving.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussions?
Yeah, these next 2 motions are really just formalities for the process, so I'm excited to.
The only thing this will cost us is a little bit of staff time.
Correct.
To put together and I'm fine if Trustee Insko wants to look into the cost of doing such a thing. I know we had a test of a chicane on Laura Linda, and there were some rough results we had some results, statistical results from that.
Yes. Yeah, it was, yeah.
And yeah, this isn't costing us anything but a little bit of staff time, so that's why I will support it.
Okay, you want to go?
I'm ready to vote unless you have more discussion.
I have discussions. I got a problem. This, it was a sampling. They did this for survey. There was some success, but only the sampling is only so small. Only 16 households participated in the sampling of this survey or the research. Well, like you said in the rationale, this funding is not appropriated, okay? And we have a bigger budget coming in we got strategic planning. This money is set aside. I think this program, we can fund some grants and maybe probably make it happen, but not to go ahead and spend money for the consulting people or the design people, then we don't know how much it's going to cost to install that. So it's unpredictable stage right now, cost-wise. I don't think we shouldn't be spending any more money, and maybe somewhere along the line we can get state funding for this. Also, we're talking about, Chief is talking about bringing the mayor's court, right, traffic tickets. We're also making aggressive police work over there, writing speeding tickets, which is not costly for the residents paying money for that. I think this program should wait till we get some more money on this. Let's go with what our strategic planning we are doing. The appropriation is already set aside for the programs. Now we got a big project coming. The lighting project is very, very important for the area like Niagara. It's an important thing. We should have able to have funding for that. So those are the important things we need. And again, check-in project can not completely delete the program, still set aside. And we should, reach out for some grants from the state, something like that.
My only rebuttal to that is just grants are sometimes a pipe dream. It's a great thing to say and to want, and I would agree with that. But there's a reason why these things look the way they do and have been the way they are for as long as they have. So again, this is not to spend the money. This is to look into what it would cost. Because you're right, Raj. We don't know what it costs. That's why we're doing this, to see what it's going to cost. So with that being said, I'm ready to vote, Heather, unless there's more discussion.
My last comment will be with the understanding that this does not cost us anything. We're just asking a couple engineering firms, hey, what would it cost to do this?
Well, you got to pay for the engineering firm.
No, we're asking for proposals.
Not at this time.
Yeah.
It'd be like if you called an engineering firm tomorrow and said, hey, would you like to throw together a budget for this so we can think about it for the future? That's all this is. And I'm on your assurance that this is.
There's no cost to the
us
township. The result of this is I bring proposals or a recommendation for design services back to you for your approval. And then that's when you vote to either purchase the design services, which will result in an engineered design drawing for how to put a chicane on Laura Linda Drive, and it'll have an engineer's estimate of cost for the construction. And at the end of that then we go out to bid with those construction documents, and we get proposals for construction. So this step that we're at right now does not cost anything.
Okay.
There's no cost.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff.
As long as we stay with this, we got a complete understanding that it doesn't cost township money to hire the designers to make a proposal.
It
I'm
will
okay with
cost
that.
township money to hire designers, but that's not what we're doing here. We're just asking permission to solicit bids. Because I don't, does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand.
Yep.
Go on,
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Very good, thank you, board. The next item on the agenda is, in a similar vein, you know, we are in the business of executing your policy. And so there is.
I told you you work for an elected board.
That's right. That's right.
You took the job knowing that.
I did.
Okay, good.
And this is a very good example of my understanding of the fact that my job really is to count to two. So I'm trying to count to two here. So,
Struggle sometimes,
I
but
know
go
it's
on.
hard. It's hard. There's been identified a desire and need to beautify our gateways. Trustee Insco has a vision for more beautiful gateways that say, we are Colerain.
I think we all have that vision, to be clear. It's not just, I didn't just
No.
invent that.
No,
I think we all want to live in a.
Lots of people
Yes.
want to have.
But thank you,
Yes, but one iteration of that, or one way to execute that, would be to plant trees in a thoughtful way and have lights shining on those trees. And so we've reached out to the Ohio Department of Transportation and explained the potential project to them. They believe that it's possible. In order to do that, though, we need engineered drawings. And so we're in the same boat as the chicane. So my suggestion, so anyway, the process for constructing a gateway at I-275 in Colerain begins with design and engineering, and then the project would be bid for construction. So with the adoption of this motion tonight, we would solicit design services for the design of a gateway at I-275 and Colerain to improve that access.
I would motion that we do such a thing.
I'll offer a
Put it on the
second to
floor.
bring it onto the floor.
Okay, any discussions?
Yeah, well, you know, everyone's been wanting us to clean up the township, and our front door is one of the ugliest front doors. I hate to say anything disparaging about our community, but let's face it, our highway ramps are about as bad as they get, and this is a step forward in the right direction to beautifying our ramps. So I'm really excited to see what kind of potentially renderings and whatnot we can get back, and sharing them obviously with residents. So this is an exciting chapter and something we all seem to believe in, which is beautification. So
And right now, this is just, once again, this doesn't cost us anything.
Right.
We're just asking, hey, what would it cost to put together a plan?
Yes,
Which
sir.
you need engineered drawings with an engineer's stamp on them to get.
Yes, to get the electric conduit and to get the location of the trees and
Okay.
the type of trees.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost us anything right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, again, it's not appropriated in the budget, in the, you know, thing. It's completely, this project is, people, CIC, the people work so hard on the ramps. Did you guys ever talk to CIC people, what they're thinking about it? They've been doing this for what, how many years? That CIC group, they're beautifying the ramp. They work hard, they plant the flowers, you know, and the whole 275 ramp, they work every Saturday there. And we didn't even consult those people, okay? And secondly, we have all the money spent on the KDZ and the Colerain Avenue beautification, and, you know, that's part of this. And 275 ramp is a part of U.S. department, you know, it's a Department of Transportation. They control this, whatever you do this. Then again, it's a costly project. I think wait till the KDC study is done, Colerain Avenue. I think too immature to start this project again, get that money in again, looking to spend the money, the residents' money for the project like this. I think
we're not spending any money here, though.
I know. This will lead into it. I don't believe this. I think it's still should be the KDC project, their designer. They in charge of the whole Colerain Avenue. Let them design. We already paid them close to about $98,000 to design this.
Are you?
So I would, I don't support this.
So
okay?
this is no different from the one that we just voted on, that we all agreed on. The CCA, the Colerain Community Association, Raj, we don't have anything to consult with them because we don't have anything to show them.
Right.
We can't say that we left them out because we didn't leave them out of anything. We don't have anything to.
These people, have you volunteered the program anytime?
I have not been in the 20 years since its existence.
I did.
have not.
I work. These people work early morning.
They
get
bust
up
their butts. They
early
do a great
morning.
job.
I help them.
Thank you for
brought
that.
the community service workers to help them. And something that we're doing, we're stepping on their toe, and they've been doing this for years and years. These are citizens so love for the beautification before even we talk about the beautification. And these people thriving for the beautification of the Colerain Township.
And we
And
can
we
bring
don't
them
even
something.
make them a part of this project. Go ahead, Jim.
Is this, no,
Uh,
let me go ahead and, this
finish
is a
the
motion on the floor.
discussion.
Yeah.
We have a motion. huh?
Is this within the KZF design area, or is this within the area that's covered by our contract with KZF?
It's within, so the boundaries of the study, yes, but they were not asked as part of the scope to do a special area study in these two locations. So if we wanted to do this, it would be in addition to their scope.
So this is outside of the scope of what they're doing?
Yes.
And
I mean,
their
it's-
scope starts down at Mount Airy.
Now
and-
listen, look, I could reach out to them and say, hey, were you planning on including this area? Or, how many hours would it take for you guys to do us up a little plan? Do an architect's, we're not talking, this one in particular is not moving mountains. This one is, we're talking about electric conduit, a number of lights and a number of trees. And in a configuration, and we need to show, where it is within the right of way. And this isn't, I don't anticipate that the design on this is going to be astronomical. I actually think that the design on this is going to be very inexpensive because it's a very simple project. I think the idea is that it's a simple project that could be inexpensive. We're talking about lights and trees that ultimately could have a big impact on the people that are getting off.
And this is beyond the scope of the...
I believe, but
KZF.
I could reach out to KZF and ask them what it would take to do a special area study.
I don't
on
want
this.
to pay them anymore. If this is something that's different than that, I'm fine supporting it, as long as it doesn't cost us anything right now.
Okay.
They might come back and say it would take $10,000 worth of engineering and $40,000 worth of trees, and I'm going to say no.
That's
So
right. I don't think
right
that
now
that's what's
it
going
costs
to
us
happen.
nothing.
This motion tonight would cost you nothing.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jim.
7 years ago, we put up Colerain Township on each side of 275 bridge. We have no money to correct that problem. We're talking about no money now, but down the road, electric-wise, state-wise, who's going to take care of those trees? Colerain Township, because we planted them. Electric bill is going to be Colerain Township. We can't spend, which I've brought before you guys 3 times that I can remember, drawings of putting signs to recognize Colerain Township. Why continue to embarrass us now with those ragged signs that are up there? $70,000 is what you've been quoted, and I've quoted to you at Northwest High School. Emlyn can be there, Colerain Township, or Colerain High School can be on the other side. I hope you kept those drawings because Dick Simple spent a lot of time doing it. My next door neighbor, 2 doors down from him, he says he can cut them out and be up to us to go to ODOT and ask them to put them up at no cost, hopefully. I think what you're talking about is useless, and it's going to cost us residents, me, a lot of money down the road. I hope you say no to it until we get the bridge straightened out. So when I see my friends from Indiana or Eastern Ohio, oh, I see you haven't got the sign finished yet. Where are we going now? C-O-L, no E, no R, I-N. What's that book? Co-in? Have you guys been out
What
there
Jim's
looking at
talking
those
about is
signs?
the paint is worn off the E and the R.
Why can't we
Those
provide-
letters are there, it's just the paint's worn off. I wanted to go up there with a wrench and take them down and take them over to an auto body shop. And go over to an auto body shop, one of our local companies on Colerain Avenue, and just have them painted with a good acrylic coat of paint.
Thank you, Jim.
Colerain on black fencing.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. I mean, we already have a discussion, we gotta.
Right, the discussion's over. It's
discussion's
my understanding this
over.
is gonna cost us nothing, so.
Okay, go ahead, make a roll call.
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
No.
And Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Very good, thank you, Board. The next 6 items on the agenda are on our consent agenda. And we see here for the first time our new hiring process in action. So we have here, item A is the appointment of a police officer. What that refers to is a police officer has gone through our hiring process, and they've been identified as the best candidate, and were offered a conditional offer of employment, and that the conditions would include a medical, a psych eval, and the ultimate approval of the trustees. So what we see here on this consent agenda tonight is that hiring process, resulting in you guys being the final arbiter of who gets hired and who does not. In this instance, we're talking about Morgan Zeiser. Ms. Zeiser would serve a 1-year probationary period. Her appointment is contingent, of course, upon successful completion of medical and psychological evaluations. The next item on the consent agenda is a contract with Ring for township participation in their Neighbors program. This is a crime-fighting program that is in partnership with Ring, which is a technology provider that many folks have on their homes these days. The next item on the consent agenda is a contract with Greg Flammers. Greg Flammer currently does this work also for the Hamilton County Engineer's Office. What we have contracted in the amount of $2,500 is for Mr. Flammer to inspect all of our sidewalks as part of our sidewalk maintenance initiative. The next item on the agenda, or on the consent agenda here, is a contract with Cincinnati State for partnership agreement for EMT program. We provide training for our EMTs and our paramedics, and this is a time-tested winner for the township. The partnership with the paramedic program has resulted in hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, non-tax revenue to the township over the history of the program. And finally, the contract with Butler Rural Cooperative for electric service. Our training center is in the Butler Rural Electric Cooperative service area, and so this is a petition to become a member of that cooperative. So the recommendation from staff is to approve all items on the consent agenda.
We got a motion. We got a motion to consent items. Second.
Well,
We got a motion.
We jinxed each other, so Dan,
Okay.
will you want to second me and Raj?
No, I don't. I'll let you guys do that.
All right, I'll offer a second.
Okay. Any discussions?
Yes, I had talked to you earlier today, Jeff, and the other day about this Ring memorandum of understanding, and I just am not knowledgeable enough on how this works and what if there's a records destruction clause in this, that eventually that film would go away, or that, not film, but the video would go away and disappear, and I would like to get a little bit more information on it. If these were broken out separately, I would vote no on this and ask you to just bring it back in 2 weeks after I've had a little more time to look at it.
So this is a no-cost contract, which the board has granted the administrator the authority to execute. I can reach out to Ring and see if we can.
My only question is it looks like if these guys all have cameras on their doors, which is today's technology, and they all sign up for Ring, I just don't understand how you unsign up for it, or what could happen to all that data. I realize that this phone I have is not a phone, it's a Google data gathering device, and I submit myself to them when they know I'm sitting here, because they can track the the part of this that tells them I'm sitting at 4200 Springdale Road. I just need to learn more about the ring.
Sure. Yeah, and I want to make it really clear to the residents that that this is not a Big Brother kind of thing. So what the neighborhood program intends to accomplish is if for example there is a burglary on a certain street in Colerain Township, by signing this agreement, we then have the ability to reach out to Ring and say, hey Ring, do you have any Ring cameras on this street? They never tell me that, yes, we have a Ring camera, and it's Trustee Rajagopal's Ring camera, and he lives at 4200 Springdale Road. They just say, we have 4 cameras on that street. And so then Ring, without revealing who you are to the township, can then reach out to the resident and say, dear resident, there was a burglary on your street. We believe that your camera may have the ability may have captured some footage of the burglary. Would you like to share that with Colerain Township? These are the times and the dates. And then the resident could say, no, get lost. That's my camera, not yours. Or they could say, yes, I would like to help solve this burglary in my neighborhood. And so I'm okay with you giving that video to the Colerain Township Police Department from 12 a.m. to 12 p.m. on April 23rd, 2019. So then we get that information, and if there is information that leads to, the hope is that there's information that leads to the arrest of a burglar. So that is the program. I didn't want anyone to get the impression that it's anything other than that.
So, Jeff, the residents signed the waiver to the Ring.
Yes.
They signed the waiver, whoever want to participate.
Without us knowing who it is or where it is.
So that way, we are not violating the Privacy Act.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Yep.
As long as there's a waiver there, the residents signed the waiver.
Yes.
Would that Ring turn the Colerain Township?
Yes.
So later on, they come by and say, man, you revealed all the things, data in my camera.
Yes, sir.
So we make sure we have that waiver.
Yes. Well, we wouldn't. It would be a waiver. It would be between Ring and their client, who is the person with Ring on their front door.
So we have a contact with Ring.
So we would be participating in a program called Neighborhoods, which is, so we don't ever interact. The township doesn't ever interact with the person with the camera. We interact with Ring, and Ring reaches out to the person with the camera in an effort to stop crime in our community. Yep.
All right, if Dan's not satisfied with, and needs more time, if we can separate these consent items, I would be willing to give Dan as much time as he needs to come back to these, unless you feel comfortable, Dan. But that's.
I intend to vote no on it just based on that one item. I'm fine with the other items.
So one option would be to make a motion to remove that item from the consent agenda, and then another motion to table that item, and that would give us the opportunity to get you more information, Dan, and then, or unless you just want to vote on it separately.
Yeah, I mean, would you like more time, Dan? I'll happily give it to you if you feel you need it.
Let's separate that out.
Okay.
Table that.
Separate, what would be the right step, Larry? Motion that we separate that out of the other items?
Yeah, you could make a motion to remove the Ring contract from the consent items.
Vote on that separately.
And then vote on that, yes.
Then I would motion that we remove the Ring contract from the consent items.
And I'll offer a second.
Okay, and discussions?
No.
No. Go ahead.
Mr. Insco?
In support of Dan, aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
And Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Okay, very good. So there are 5 items now on the consent agenda. Recommendation is to approve those items.
I'll make the motion.
Then I'll second it.
Any discussions?
Not from me.
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Very good. Now, with respect to the item relating to Ring, did you want to vote on that item tonight, or did you want to table it to another meeting?
How do you feel about that, Raj?
I'll table this.
Okay.
That'll give us more information.
Do we need a motion to table?
Yes, sir.
I'll support Raj to support Dan. Does that make sense?
So I'll motion to table And you seconded it?
I seconded it.
Okay, now that brings it up for discussion. I would say bring it back at the very next meeting, and I'll be prepared to have a little bit more knowledge about it.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Colin.
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Thank you, board. That's all the business for this evening.
Thank you.
Okay, the next on the agenda is fiscal office report.
I don't have a formal report this evening, but I did want to mention that in the conversation we had previously about the landscaping at the 275 in Colerain, I do know that the Community Association is going to be receiving a bunch of annuals. I don't know my flowers well enough to know what type of annuals they are, but I'm sure they're beautiful. So they are going to be receiving those to be planted in that area. So just wanted to mention that.
We have motion to approve fiscal office report?
I don't need a,
Oh,
I
you
don't
don't
need,
need-
not
There
for
was
that.
no report.
No
There's no
report,
report.
okay, all right. Okay, before we come to the topic of the executive sessions, I just want to make a comment. I really appreciate, sincerely, thank you, residents. The citizens' address was very great. You brought the concern. We hear, we promise, that we'll look at, follow your, we'll discuss your recommendations, your thoughts or concerns, and we'll respond to you. And tonight's meeting was very good. I'm really happy the citizens stayed in the time limits and they're very cooperative tonight. Thank you for that. Next on the agenda is Mr. Mills. Do we need executive sessions?
I have several items that I could discuss with you in executive session. It's up to you as to whether or not you would like to do that.
Can we do it next sessions?
We can do it next session if you'd like.
Let's do it now while we're here. I don't want to wait any longer to talk about some of the stuff. It's pressing.
How about you?
Pressing.
I know it's getting late, but well, not as late as normal, I guess you could say. But can we set a hard stop time to discuss these things? Like give ourselves.
Depends how much talking you
Well, between the three of us, we'll be out there all night. So
I'm fine going in executive session if we keep it at about 30 minutes or so. As long as we're here.
It is your pleasure.
If it helps to get,
I would love an hour, but I'll settle for a half hour if I have
if
to.
it helps to get done what you need to get done.
Sure.
Is a half hour enough time you think to discuss everything?
I can speak fast. Yep.
If you need more time, I would rather wait next executive sessions.
Okay.
My thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I don't want to rush up things.
I serve at your pleasure.
Do you have to be somewhere?
Talking about this, you
Okay,
just
where you
want to
gotta be,
mention.
I don't want to rush.
Yes. Yes.
Do we have a motion and with a reason?
So, if the board would like to go into executive session, then the motion would be to go into executive session in accordance with Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G4, to discuss collective bargaining sessions with public employees, and also Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G8, to consider confidential information relating to specific business strategy, to discuss negotiations with political subdivisions, and also Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G1, to discuss the employment and compensation of public employees.
I would motion we do such a thing.
I'll offer a second.
No discussions? Any?
Just
Okay,
keep
go
it.
ahead and call for the.
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Aye.
Okay, we'll go for the executive sessions, we'll come back. We are back in sessions from the
We need to
executive
call roll.
sessions. Would you have a roll call, please?
Mr. Insco?
Aye.
Mr. Rajagopal?
Aye.
Mr. Unger?
Here.
Mr. Mills, you have anything to report?
No, sir, there's nothing to report.
Okay, there's no report, the meeting is,
I'd like to make a motion, we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Yeah. Is there any discussion for the adjournment?
Adjournment.
It's worth mentioning there's no one here right now. Everybody left. So thank you all for
Thank you all
coming
for
early.
watching.
Thank you, the meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.